All right, everybody. Here we are live. We made it. We made it.
We made
Look
it.
at that. Look at that.
We made it.
What do you got? What do you got in your lap? What's going on there?
So I was looking for some of the stuff Sal Regla did. Now that I'm in the process of redoing my room. Guys, I have a light.
Look at that. You can actually see you now. It's not surrounded by darkness anymore. Great.
So I was just pulling it, and I knew right away, like none of my comic boxes are labeled right now or anything. Besides this one, it says Jean Grey Phoenix shit. So
well, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Anyone can. So I just was like, let me look through this box and see, because anyone that knows me knows I'm pretty good with remembering who worked on what from my time of being at the shop. True. And just in general, just because it's my thing. So off the top of my head, I was like, oh, I know for sure, he worked on a Phoenix series.
And you love the Phoenix. I mean, that's
yes.
You definitely remember that.
So that was War Song. That came out after End Song, I believe. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in this box. Why do I think that he worked on this X-Men Unlimited series?
Well, you'll have to ask him.
I'm just going to open it up.
Hail the Lore says, Kayla, looking great tonight. See, your fans.
I have light.
Your fans are showing up.
They're here for you, Joe, for your good looks.
Of course they are. I mean, come on.
I'm trying to compete with, everyone missing Sean here.
Yeah, shout out to Sean, by the way.
I will never be as beautiful as Sean. He misses
everybody. Nobody ever will be.
I know.
Insaniac Straws here. Hail, good to see you. We got Jaro in the chat. Says, good morning, Joe Santek. Hail the chat. Welcome, Mr. Regla, which I had to ask him how to pronounce the last name because I was butchering it all these years. Got Sibling Vaughn in the chat. He says, hail to you, brother. Good to see you. Let's see. Andrew Wyatt. What's up, brother? Hail the chat. Love you guys. What it up? What's up with you? Glad you made it. The Astro Zombie, a member of the channel. Hail, thank you for being here. We got Tarks9, another member of the channel here. Guys are coming in now. We appreciate you. We got Everson Leroy? Sensational opening. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. We got Boob Dan Art Dan Plagle in the house. He says, ahoy, friends. Ahoy.
Ahoy.
Good to see you. Okay, Red Mule. Le Red Mule, right? Red Mule.
La Rad. Remember he
Rad. That's right. That's right. That's what he said last time. Rad, because I'm gonna mess it up. Good to see you, man. Thank you for being here. We got Leandro in the house, which I'm gonna talk about Leandro here in a second. We also have Jonas Olson says, howdy all. Howdy to you. Thank you for coming here, guys. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Sorry for the delay. We got everything figured out, and we're gonna get rocking and rolling here very, very soon. Before I do that, I did want to show you guys something real quick. Of course, I did not bring it up.
Oh, it would help if I put the 50-pound box off of my lap, right?
Well, I mean, possibly. Okay, guys, check this out. So we are pushing ever closer to $60,000 on the Reaper Destroyer campaign. We're sitting at $53,500 some odd dollars. If we get to $60,000, the stretch goal on that is going to be this beautifully drawn piece by this man right here, Leandro, who did a team up, the very first team up of my character, Reaper Destroyer, and Sean's character, Strees from Type 1. This is going to go to everybody that backed the campaign. Everybody that will back the campaign is getting this mini print for free. Beautifully drawn by Leandro and colored by Dan Kemp, the great Dan Kemp, who's been doing phenomenal jobs on all of the cards and prints for Reaper Destroyer campaign. I'm overly ecstatic for this one. So great job, Leandro. That's going to be if we can push it to 60K, guys. So if you haven't, go check it out. Check out Reaper Destroyer. Share it on social media. If you can't back it, just word of mouth is great. The link is below. But this is my book, Reaper Destroyer. This is kind of a throwback to 90s comics, I guess you could say, with more of a modern day twist. But if you love the stuff we do on this channel, if you love looking at this awesome art from the legends that we show on here, from Silvestri to Lee to Liefeld, to Booth to Capullo to Dale Keown. Speaking of Dale Keown, he did a cover for the campaign right here. You're going to love this. This is a dark hero story, just throwback to the 90s, action, adventure, everything you could want out of comic books right here. This is my book, live on Indiegogo right now. trying to get this out of the way because I don't want to take up too much time. Check it out. Links below. All right. Enough of that. Let's move on with the show. We've got a great guest. Very excited to have on Sal Regla. And hopefully this works out. Hopefully we can do an inking demo here because we got a wealth of knowledge. You're going to dive into some awesome stories. And let's just get to it. Welcome to the show, Sal. How's it going? How you doing, my friend?
Hello, how are you? Sorry about the delay, everybody.
We are doing good.
Yeah, it's all my fault. So
Thank you for saying the extra. I appreciate it. And also, guys, if you're in the chat, share out this stream. Let everybody know we're live, we're up and rolling, and come in and join us. This is gonna be a fun night. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I backed the Dale KO cover variant. Thank you, appreciate it, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, thanks, Joe. What can I say? You and Sean created some fun characters, inspiring many of us to draw. Well, I appreciate it, guys. I really do. And again, shout out to Sean. I think he might be trying to watch tonight because he was excited that Sal was going to come on and do an inking demo. So he might be watching. So if you are, brother, we miss you. And definitely do what you have to do. And we will see you back when you get a chance. Hail the Lord. So that Reaper Destroyer picture is awesome. I have it as my screensaver.
Yes.
What I'm talking about. Astro Zombie says, hello, Sal. Jaro says, welcome, Sal. Yeah, everyone's excited. Yes. Yeah, we are ready to go here. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. Before we get going, though, for those that don't know who you are, you want to let them know just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Sal Regla, obviously. I'm a family guy type of guy. You and I talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
I have 3 kids, my wife, Candy. And, I've always been in love with art and sports, comics, and, the classical art as well. But right now, I just got back into the industry. I was out of the industry for about a decade and a half. And just through chance, I was able to come back to the industry and, get reunited, if you will, with Brett of Backlash, Wildstorm, Kindred fame. So it's kind of been like the dream return for me. And I always tell him, like, I feel like I'm trapped in this, like, Back to the Future, Groundhog Day, type of thing where
right,
going back to the beginning, revisiting all that Kindred and Backlash stuff. So definitely really, really happy to be back and working on his pencils once again.
Yeah, I think most of us are really excited. One, just for, we talked about this before. I've talked to Brett about it. It just, that book, The Lost Serpent Prince, just has that Wildstorm image feel to it, and I think that's something that's missing today in comics, just look wise, character wise. I think a lot of people are excited about it. It's great that you've hooked up with Brett again and working together. I think that's awesome. We've got the great Andrew Dollhouse in the house. He says, hi, Sal. Good to see you, Andrew. Hope everything's good. Matt's saying Matt LaRock's in the house as well. Hail, he says, hail, Sal. Try saying that 10 times fast. For me, with my, it's just not easy. Yeah, Steven here says, loving every second of having Sal back to the industry. Yes, me too. I think that's a sentiment we all agree on. Lorad said the culture shock of returning at a moment or at a modern comic book industry is interesting. That's a good point. Sure. As a sport, there you go. There's a sports question right off the bat. As a sports fan, who are your teams?
Who are my teams? Well, I'm kind of a local Southern California guy. So the Lakers, the U.S. national team, the Mexican national team, and football, a 49ers fan. Actually, just kind of a little funny anecdote here. I wish I had a couple of pictures, but I had like a dream scenario where I got to go to the Super Bowl with Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Brandon Choi.
Really?
That was quite an adventure. Yes. I have
that'd be awesome.
But I could not find them. That was an amazing time.
Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome.
That would be so much fun.
You got Snake Dog in the house. I don't know if I said it before, but he says, hail the chat. Hail Joe, Kayla, and Sal. I got some people rolling in now. Appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Sorry we started a little bit late, but this is how we rock and roll. It's all good. Live. We love doing it.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Joe had nothing to do with it. and Kayla. So it's all.
Every,
I look like the guy who can't figure out the computer. Come on. Look at me. You look at me and you're like, that guy cannot figure out not even the internet connection or the modem.
Hey, we got it. We got it figured out. It's all good. We got American Comics Co in the house too as well. Henry Bemis just jumped in. We also got Barrett Russell. Nice. Good to see you guys. This is gonna be a fun night. We're gonna get into some stories here in a second, and we're gonna do an inking demo here, which will be real fun because I know Kayla's got a ton of questions about process and all that kind of stuff. So I think that'll be fun. We've got a lot of artists in the chat as well. So going over any kind of inking drawing is always fun. You know, you're gonna get that on this channel.
Oh, look at that. That's such a great compliment. Sorry, Joe, I read faster than you.
That's fine. Go ahead. You want to take it? Go ahead. Read it.
Everson Lirio says, Sal's inks are a great reference for me. I often use many of your works as a study for my inks. His technique is amazing.
Nice.
That is such a high compliment.
Absolutely.
Obrigado, Emerson. Obrigado.
Yeah. Henry asks if you're looking forward to the World Cup.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fantastic time. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. All right. Before I let Kayla take over, because I know she was just chomping at the bit with some questions.
Joneson.
You were one of the originals at Wildstorm, not that were brought in after Jim Lee started up. I mean, you were like one of the first wave of guys that came through, right?
True.
How was that? Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, the talent there, you had Mark Silvestri, Scott Williams, Will Sportasio, Scotty Clark, and if I remember correctly, people were hired or came to the studio in this order. I think the first person that was hired was either Trevor Scott or the late Scotty Clark, who was a great friend and a great guy.
Yep. Rest in peace for sure.
There. So I think soon after that it was Brett and I think Alex Gardner, then Scott Campbell and myself. So I got a great picture to share, from the studio. Unfortunately, Brett is not in the picture, but it's like one of those early, promo pics that Jim did, and we're on the background, and he's just in the foreground smiling and
nice,
being Jim Lee, the happy Joe that he is.
Well, that's what we remember from, or at least what I remember from being a kid. Like when I grew up, I was probably 10 years old when Image started. I was probably 12 when I really got into like the thick of like Image and like diving into all the stories you'd see written in Wizard magazine or Hero or any of the other magazines at the time that were really covering behind the scenes comic stuff. And I absolutely loved it when they did deep dives into the studios at Image, whether it's Wildstorm, Extreme Studio, Top Cow, it didn't matter. It was really cool to see and to go through like the day in the life of you guys at the time. So anytime I get to talk to you guys that were actually there, it's an extreme honor to me, because it's like living my childhood. Like it's almost like when you sit down and you have your dad tell a bunch of stories of when he was a kid, and you just kind of like live that through him. It's basically like this, like sitting down, like let's get into it. Let's talk about Wildstorm. Like when you got there, how long did it take you to get up and really get your feet wet? Did they throw you in right off the bat? What'd they have you do?
Well, I was coming in as a penciler, but as soon as I walk through the door and I see everybody, I think we talked about this briefly yesterday, but I could tell that Brett and Jeffrey Scott were in a completely different level than I was. And I coach soccer players, but specifically goalkeepers. And I always kind of look at things from that point of view. And, I wouldn't say, number one, I didn't have the talent that Brett has, but in terms of the dedication that I had, it just paled in comparison to, to how involved, how absorbed he was, but what he wanted to accomplish. And I don't know that he had anything in mind, like I'm going to be a pencil of this stature or whatever, but you could just see that his drive was going to take him somewhere, like, to the upper echelons of the industry. So I came in and, having realized that, I think I drew my first Wildcat pinups, and thankfully that never saw print.
Do you have it? Let's look at it. It'd be awesome.
I considered showing you that.
Oh, you do have it?
I do want to. I kind of want to see it.
Maybe we'll do it after we're live because I would love to see it.
No, you don't want to see it. So I inked my. So Jim, kind of brought it about, and he asked me if I would be willing to ink Brett's pencils because throughout the years, and as I was getting prepared to to show my portfolio, I had done all my ink, so it wasn't that much of a stretch for me to try to and ink someone else.
Right.
So I think that I inked Wildcats. No, it was a Stormwatch source book piece. They had the pinups and the characters. So I did that, and it's just terrible, honestly. But that was the first thing that later on Alex Garner of Gen 13 fame. He crossed out the Stormwatch part on the top of the page, and he wrote the sweetness on top of it. Because we had a laugh about it.
Nice.
Soon after that, I started kind of becoming more familiar with Brett pencils, and right away I just took a liking to. I don't really even know how to describe this, but I think we can talk about it a little bit about this later, because the way he just laid down the pencil and the lead,
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like it has kind of like a softer feel to it, and so right off the bat, it's just something that I really enjoyed thoroughly, and probably say it took me about 2 to 3 months for everything to sink in. I don't think that you're walking around and learning from all these titans of the industry, Brett, Jim at the time, Mark, and Scott Williams. So I think that maybe if I had broken into the industry somewhere else, I wouldn't have been able to develop as much as I did in those early years. And I think that was crucial, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time to be able to hone my skills. Some of the stuff that I use to this day are some of the early, advice and things that, Scott Williams will talk to me about, because I'd love to sit behind him and watch him work. There's just like in anything that you do, if you're swinging a baseball bat, everyone has a different way of swinging the bat and a different look to it. You know what I mean? So just the way he snapped and the way he, because in my experience, you can ink from the wrist or you can ink from the shoulder. So that was a great moment in my life. So I would say maybe about 3 to 4 months, but the enormity of like working and to this day, it's really amazing to me. I still wonder over it and think about it.
It's really crazy. What's really cool about the early image days, and this goes to all of the image founders, is that unlike the rest of the industry, maybe at the time, they were giving a lot of chances to young upcoming talents. So they would see something in the talent of the guys who would submit to them or whatever at cons or however you guys did it. And they would actually bring you on and develop you and, give you a chance to actually have a career. And they really found and developed some fantastic talent all across the board. You're talking about artists, inkers, colorists. I don't think they get enough credit for the amount of people they brought into the industry in the early mid 90s, maybe throughout the entire 90s. It's really incredible when you sit down and think about it. Wildstorm, especially before Sylvester left to go do Top Cow, when everybody was together there. I mean, the amount of talent there, when you think about it, is absolutely insane.
Yeah, when you think about, like I said, I always look at everything. Like I look at sports through art, and I look at art through sports.
Yeah.
So if you have, you think if anybody that likes football or any other sport, you have your coaching tree, like Bill Walsh with the 49ers.
Right.
He had his assistants, and then they later became offensive, defensive coordinators, and ultimately head coaches. So on that tree of I don't know, let's say that originated from Scott Williams, you have some really, really great talents that came out of that of that Wildstorm studio.
Yeah.
Cow. And I can definitely relate to you about learning and getting everything, all that information and all those, pictures and things like that the day of and things like that, because I remember, to me, it was a big event to go to Extreme Studios, and go and see Marat and Dan and Danny, Mickey, and Norm. I over there get photocopies and just kind of like talk to them. I'd make a point to every now and then go to the studio, and I had that same experience. I can totally relate to that, being a fan myself.
Yeah, and when you and I have talked, I brought up I've talked to Dan Fraga and Marat, and all they ever talk about when we talk about like those days, like the amount of photocopies that they were able to take of all the art at the time. And I'm just like, man, like what I wouldn't have given to be in that position, to have the collection of just photocopies of that stuff when it was being created. Like, it's just, that's really, when I think about it, like it gets me so excited, because I instantly go back to being like 12, 14 again, because like that was the era. That was the last time I was like mostly excited about comic books and learning about the art and the artists and just investing myself in the line work and stuff. It gets me excited. Like I need to calm down. I'm getting excited here. Getting a little excited, everybody.
I have a ginormous, collection of photocopies that I accumulated over the years. And like I said to you, I want to categorize them and, scan them and then share with everybody, because it's an exciting time, to see what the new possibilities are coming in with the new technology, inking and such. There's so many things that are so easy for me to do that will be like very time consuming and difficult to achieve, by tradition.
We got a few people jumped in the chat. We got Matt Nick 1983. Welcome. Appreciate you being here. We also have Steven Lukowski. We're gonna go.
That's like a great wide receiver.
That is a very Polish last name, Lachowski.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Great wide receiver from the 80s or something like that.
Yeah, the Steve Lachowski. I like it. The Anvil says Niner reference. Hell yeah. Yeah, there you go. So I just want to say a quick thanks to everybody that's jumping in now. We are talking with Sal Regla about his time at Wildstorm, just the time in the industry. We're going to be doing, he's going to be doing an inking demo later on over some Brett Booth art, so stick around for that. I think that's going to be really cool to see. But jumping back, what was it? So, I mean, you spent the majority of your time at Wildstorm working with Brett. You did Kindred, right? And then on the Backlash, and then Wildcore, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So it was all right. Yeah. What was it like when that was all kind of coming to a close? With Jim Lee selling the company and just a lot of things shaking up. I mean,
I didn't get to experience much of that because I had a girlfriend. I lived about two hours, give or take, away from San Diego, from La Jolla at the time, because we had a studio in Mira Mesa, California, which is maybe like 30 minutes from La Jolla. Then we moved to a really fantastic location right in front of the Hard Rock Cafe on Prospect Place.
Yeah.
In La Jolla. But by that time, Jim had just, first it started that I would go back home maybe once a month, and then every weekend. Then after that, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks at the studio, 2 weeks at home. And then finally, I think a few years later, he's like, look, Sal, I understand, whatever. Why don't you just stay home and work from there? And by the time that all took place, I was well aware of that, but it was kind of something that was a little bit more on the periphery, if you will, because I wasn't that involved in the day-to-day at the studio anymore.
I got you. All right, that makes sense. Kayla, I'm gonna look for something real quick. I know you got a bunch of questions. I'm gonna stop talking and let you take over. I'm gonna try to search for some images.
Okay.
Feel free to ask anything. I'm an open book.
I'm gonna ask. I definitely want to ask.
Just wait.
So let's see. Where was your favorite place to work? I mean, because you've done stuff at Image, you've done stuff at Top Cow, you've done stuff with Marvel, You did your stuff at Wildstorm. I believe you even did something at DC at one point too.
Yeah.
You've kind of been everywhere throughout the industry, working on a bunch of
I think
different
that's most
things.
of us from the Wildstorm days, but pretty much my favorite stuff. Well, it's been probably a Wildstorm working with Brett and the stuff that I'm doing now because I'm just having so much fun. Life, I'm much older. I have everything in a different perspective, and everything's kind of settled in. You know what I mean? And so to be able to do this, to work on his stuff, to help him out on the Lost Serpent Prince. There's also I enjoyed my time working Tyler at Top Cow.
Okay.
And number 3 on my list would be working with Alejandro Garza at Fathom.
Oh, I was going to say you definitely did Fathom. Yeah.
I did an entire year of Fathom. Still want to get, I think they gave me about 50 trade paperbacks. And this is what I mean. I have perspective now. So I gave them all away. And I probably wouldn't even, you probably couldn't fight me for one of them right now.
Wow.
Yeah, you did. What was it? Fathom Kiani, Fathom Dawn of War. You worked on Fathom from 2006 to 2000. No, it came out in 2006. I'm trying to think of the year you worked on it. You did. No, it was 2005 to 2006. You worked on it.
Yes.
Correct. And then afterwards, I know you did something later on for the series too. In 2000 and maybe was it 8 to 2010?
Yes.
I can't keep track of everything in my mind. I try.
Something that this is the only time that I did a monthly book because for me it was difficult, but I did a true old school month to month, grind it out, no excuses, deadlines have to be met. I did a year of The Authority with Dwayne Turner, and that was really fun. And it was difficult for me because I had never done that and I didn't do it after. But it was just an old school, grind it out, like back in the old days. You got to get it done because you got to get it done. And it was a fantastic time. He also gave me he was super fun to ink, like lots of I like pencilers where things are kind of open to interpretation and you can kind of get your take on stuff. Yeah. But he gave me probably the best advice that any penciler has ever given me, because you guys think about that my works are fantastic, the fans do, but there's always that part of yourself that is always in doubt of what the outcome is going to. You know what I mean, being an artist.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, probably maybe Jim Lee. It's like, oh yeah, I can draw my left hand and it's going to come out great. But for me, I always go back to that guy or that young man walking in at Wildstorm, and it's like, wow, I really don't measure up here. I hope Jim doesn't send me back packing. He was, and so that piece of advice was like, I asked him, I said, Dwayne, what do you want me to do? Because at that time, he had been working with Danny Miki, and he just said to me, look, Sal, what I want you to do is I want you to make it like you see it. So that is great advice, because if you try to imitate someone's take on it, you're going to end up, it's not going to end up just as good as if like, okay, this is how I see it. This is how it should be done. Let's go. Let's have at it and, do the best work that we can.
That's actually really good advice.
That is really good advice.
Yeah.
So what would you describe your personal inking style as?
Tough one. Yes. Because I think that, you have Sandra Hope and, all the other inkers that came out of, the Scott Williams, where they were developed because of we saw him and his great advice and looking at his work on a day-to-day basis. But I think mine has a little bit of a twist because I also got to go to work at Top Cow, and I used to go to Top Cow and look and marvel at at Joe's and Bat's work, Joe Weems and Matt.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of an edge to that stuff. I can still do like the really clean, stuff that we used to do over at Wildstorm, but I really, once I saw it, and it's if you get to see, you know what I'm talking about, Joe. If you get to see it, once you see Bat's original work and Joe's work, it's just stunning. It's simply stunning.
Yeah.
It's something that you will never forget. To this day, it's something that pops into my head because, you know how Pit pops, things randomly pop into your head. You know, I'm walking about, or I'm training, or I'm at a house fixing the tile or whatever. But so this image, this like neuro association that I had is like, okay, I remember this cover, like the Batman cover that Mark Silvestri and Bat did. That thing is stunning. It's beautiful.
Yes, yeah.
Imagine. And Joe's work, it's just so energetic, and it's if you think that you like Joe's work in print, I advise for you guys to go out and buy one of his originals and look at it, because it's just the energy. It just, to me, it's like that kind of stuff. It just pumps me up.
That's awesome. We got in the chat, we got Passmaster Dan jumped in. Good to see you guys. We got Jasper playing 9. One Wicked Evo. Says Frag a Boom Raid. That's awesome. Appreciate you guys coming over. We did have a question back here. Let's see. Everson said, how long does it usually take you to fully complete a page? I know it's a popular question amongst a lot of artists.
That depends who that person is, who the penciler is. Brett's pages, they could take you, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. It could take you a really long time, 7, 8, 9 hours. And then it could take as little as, 3 or 4 hours, depending on how much he puts on the page, and varies penciler by penciler. So that's a really difficult, I did a run on Magdalena, a long run, I think about a year run. And the artist, his style is very simplistic. I'll probably show you so you have an idea. And so I could run through this page. I could do that really fast.
Oh, yeah.
That's different. That's the late Scotty Clark.
Yes, yep. Scott Clark right there, yep.
And just going back a little bit to like what would I categorize my work as, it's just kind of a blend, and what every artist is that it's like an amalgamation of all the things that you like. I would say, well, Scott Williams is and always will be my favorite inker. For many reasons.
Understandably, yeah.
Many reasons. I mean, he was a mentor and a great guy to talk to on a day-to-day basis, a really, really funny guy. The stuff that he taught me that I think about and I use as the core of my beliefs of what I do on a daily basis. Bat would be a close second, because again, I don't want to embarrass him or anything, but there's just a certain level of elegance to everything that he does. He just, you know what I'm talking about, Joe, from the stuff that you've shared that he's linked to me.
Yes,
just something about his work that is just stunning. My eyes are popping out and all of that, because this is what we love. I feel really
right
about this. So
yeah, absolutely.
And then after that, there's I love Sandra Hope, and her holding lines. They're so beautiful, and I just feel like she accentuates just the right, fold and the muscle or the clothing, and her wonderful brush work. Then I would say an influence would be Alex Gardner, because how precise. I don't know if you guys. He unfortunately for us, he went to become a great painter, digital painter, and all of that, but his time in comics was short, but it was really influential.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
And it's something that, the precision in his inks, I try to channel some of that stuff too. Then, we have some other inkers like Klaus Janson, who I think is fantastic. We have also, Danny Mickey, who I've said this before, that if you have Scott Williams on one end of the spectrum, and he's just like a Michelangelo painting or whatever you think fine art is, and then you have like Danny Mickey on this end of the spectrum. He's just like, bam, just jamming, and so everybody else is kind of like along the middle of that of that spectrum. And now the new guys, I really like Jonathan Clapion and Enriquez. Daniel Enriquez. Adelso Corona is a fantastic inker as well.
Yeah, you named some of my favorite. Obviously, I love Bat and Weems are some of my favorite inkers of all time. I love and have great appreciation for Scott Williams. Danny Mickey I've always found just amazing, especially his work that he did with Capullo on the Spawn run when they were. But even when Mickey was in Extreme Studios, the stuff they did with Liefeld was
super
brilliant.
Yeah, it was more like our end of the spectrum over here, Wildstorm, but it was fantastic, beautiful, and I remember that. I mean, I saw all that stuff myself.
Yeah, that's so jealous.
Yeah,
we got.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Jasper Plan 9 said Sandra Hope is great. I really enjoy the stuff that she does on Instagram. Just watching her ink, but she'll put a lot of little, short videos out there, whether she's doing brush or nibs or whatever. And she is a fantastic. Like, I just enjoy just the smoothness that she inks with. Like, her steady hand is impressive.
Yeah, it's so jealous. Even her stories are way better than
mine. Charles Rivas is in the house. He said, "What up? Hail to all. Hail to you, brother. Good to see you." Go ahead. I'm just going to let you roll, Kayla.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, go for it. When you told me all the questions you had, I was just like, I'm going to let you roll because you came like with a list of stuff that you're interested in.
Certain ones are more appropriate once the inking is going on.
That's true.
Let's start get to that, at the beginning. Were you always a fan of comics? Or art in general? You said you liked classical artists. I mean, where did your love with art start?
With comics, I was born and raised in Mexico until my parents divorced, and then through destiny or higher power, whatever you want to call it, I ended up in the United States. But my mom was a school teacher, and she would go to the next to like the largest city and then bring me back comic books. So Latin superheroes, but mostly, DC. It's kind of funny for anybody to think about this, but I didn't even know Marvel existed until I came to the United States at 15. So
really, wow.
Yeah. So that all that old like Neil Adams stuff, and Neil Adams and Jim Aparo. I don't know if anybody will remembers who Jim Aparo is, but stuff like that. Comics, and I wanted to be at some point a classical painter. So the old masters, Raphael, Michelangelo, and I just love how well-rounded they were. Michelangelo with his sculptures and all of that, Da Vinci.
That's interesting. So you just started, when did you start really developing your talent? Was it something that you had to work more at, or was it something that always just came naturally to you?
Well, I was mostly drawing. It never really entered my mind to become a comic book artist, even though I was heavily invested in them, and I really loved the medium. And so when I came to the States, there was a girlfriend that I had whose younger brother was really into Marvel comics, and that's when I became familiar with Jim Lee, and he became my favorite artist of all time. So that's when I started thinking about having a career in comics, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, it would be impossible for me to compete with someone that has invested so much, prior to that in comics. I mean, and if you think about Brett, it's like he's among a percentage of people that is very, very small. Someone that is going to devote almost their entire, being to one particular endeavor. That is really, really rare, to find, and at least in my opinion. I don't know what he does.
Yeah.
In 3 hours to draw a page and frolicking through the woods. But
he's insanely fast. It's crazy. Like, it's just, you're right. When we were talking about that the other day, there's not a lot of people that have that kind of just, I don't even know what you would, drive is one word to use, but just dedication,
devotion and love to what he does. Because if he didn't love it, if he didn't truly enjoy it, he wouldn't do it so much. And I can attest to that. I remember working at the studio. And, speaking of anecdotes and things to share, I remember we would work, the night, overnight shift, or stay at the studio really late, 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd go home, and I remember going to the local Denny's down on Prospect Place, and I still remember what he would order: the Superbird from there. Everybody who's a Brett Booth fan, please go out to your local Denny's, and if it's still in the menu, go out and try out a Superbird, because I have to do that every now and then. I would do that just for old time's sake.
What is the Superbird?
It's
I was
like
I'm
about to
curious.
ask
I'm
that,
like, is it like chicken and waffles or chicken and pancakes or something?
Speaking of that, because I've eventually I'm a kind of guy that is only going to eat like one particular thing. My favorite food is I'm about as uncomplicated as it gets. I like Chinese food, and I like tacos. You know what I mean? And you can tell that I like tacos. But
everyone likes tacos.
Everybody loves tacos.
Everyone likes tacos.
Al pastor tacos are the best.
Yes.
So the Superbird, they actually have a version of that sandwich at the breakfast place that I eat out all the time with my kids. So the Superbird, if I remember correctly, it's a piece of chicken, grilled chicken on sourdough bread with tomatoes and whatever dressing they put on it. But it was really good.
Sounds interesting.
Does
sound good.
So.
I'm getting hungry now.
I was just about to say, it was the wrong conversation to have. He's like, let's go eat some food.
So how did you end up? What was the process of you getting into the comic book industry? Like, how did this all work out for you?
Great question. So I started practicing and working on my own samples. I think I only completed and again, I keep going back to that, you just can't compete with a certain amount of people. I competed, I think, like 6 pages ever. So I went to Comic-Con in San Diego, and the days where it was Comic-Con, or it was more like, it was less of a spectacle that it is now. I mean, I love it. It's fantastic, but it just had a different feel to it. I went out there and got in line, waited my turn, and showed my samples to Jim Lee. The first time, I think Wills was there, and I had painted a Domino, the X-Force character.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so they gave me like this really great feedback, and they told me what to work on specifically a little bit. So I think 6-7 months later, or there was a convention in LA, and I went out to try to get hired somewhere. I went to see Rob, Jim, and Jim Valentino at the time, and fortunately they all kind of took a liking to my stuff, so they hired me. I wouldn't say on the spot, but it was kind of an agreement thing. But later on, I just decided to go to Wildstorm, since Jim was my favorite artist of all time.
Yeah, how could you not? I mean, like, that's the chance to get to work for your favorite artist of all time. I mean, geez.
And then when you put it in this perspective, like Mark Silvestri, my second favorite artist of all time. So it's kind of and Wills was an amazing artist as well. And you have Scott Williams.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, to go to Wildstorm, and I love Extreme Studios. I love everybody that came out of Extreme Studios. I'm a huge fan of Rob and all those guys. But when you just think of early Wildstorm and you think of the names that were there together, I mean, man, what a learning experience to be around not only like Lee and Wilson and Mark, but also Scott Williams and Bat and like all these guys, and like the rest of the young guys coming through. I mean, just again, the amount of talent that was there at one time is insane when you think about it. It blows my mind. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Sorry. I had to jump in there because I was just thinking about
geez. It's totally okay. It's your show.
That's true. It is my show.
It's your show.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, what were the things that you were asked to work on? I'm curious to know.
Well, when I said that I completed the 6 pages, that was after that. So they said, well, why don't you, these are great. There's a nice painting. It would be like a really nice, it was bad, but he was very kind. It's like, that would be like a nice pinup or cover, but why don't you do some sequential arc? So since you have aspirations to be a penciler. So we went ahead and we did that. And that's what, and like Joe was saying earlier, it was kind of I think they took like a kind of a, like a minor league approach to things, where they were going to take in this talent and they saw something in it and see who developed and who didn't, because not everybody was going to develop. That happened at Wildstorm, and it happened at Extreme Studios. There's people that just didn't work out for whatever reason, or whatever other reason or another. And sometimes they didn't have anything to do with with talent.
Numbers game, maybe. Just the amount of work to go around.
All of the above, maybe.
There's anything possible, because it's just how human beings we are. We're all very different.
It's the nature of competition.
It's the nature. Yes, exactly.
That's what it ultimately is. It's a competition to see if you can survive. They could literally. It's similar to sports a little bit.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. Let's see. We had a couple other people jump in. I just want to say real quick, hey to Jeremy Burtz. We also had M Wackass jumped in the house. Appreciate you guys. Let's see. There was somebody else I wanted to acknowledge before we started rolling. Oh yeah, Bretsky the Great said salute Joe and company. And I also want to say a little bit later, he said, "Oh shit, that's Sal Regla. Salute." Yeah, absolutely. Got a very, very talented. In my opinion, I throw around the word. I throw around the word legend a lot, and the reason why I do that is because it's the impact that a person had on me in my childhood. And all these names, guys, and you know this, if you watch my channel on a regular basis, you know that I'm always talking about the names of the Image guys, because I grew up an absolute Image kid. So when I would see these names on the covers, on the inside covers, art, it didn't matter if it was the artist or inkers or colorists. I mean, all those names were impressive to me, even to this day. So in my mind, like, it's all legendaries. And if you look at Sal's work, to me, it's a legendary run of stuff that he did, stuff he's doing now. I mean, the stuff you're doing now with Brett with Lost Serpent Prince, is, even the stuff on Gunslinger Spawn when you filled in for Adelsa there, is great. I mean, it's just, you guys are clicking on all cylinders. Like, it's probably some of the best work I've seen out of everybody. It's we benefit from it.
Yeah, I feel so much like a Forrest Gump type character. I just kind of lucked in into stuff at the right time. like Adelsa needed a pinch hitter for Gunslinger. Brett needed someone to help him out with LSB, and then all the way from landing on this great country of ours and starting out at Wildstorm.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so awesome. And one day we're gonna have to take a look at those photocopies of all that kind of stuff, because again, that's the thing that blows me away. It's just the ability to see this stuff come in as it's being done before it's printed. Oh man,
some of the coolest stuff that comes to mind is the warm-ups that I would get, because I was fortunate enough to be able to work on all these Titans. The only person that I would have wanted to ink that I never got to was Rob Liefeld. But Wills, I loved inking him. Mark Silvestri and Jim, I was fortunate enough to ink quite a bit when Scott wasn't able to.
That is awesome. Yeah. Go. I'm sorry, Kayla. Go ahead.
No. Why are you saying sorry? It's your show.
Well, I don't want to talk over people. I saw you were about to say something, so go for it.
No, I was just curious. Like, are there particular characters that you're drawn to? Basically, like, are there particular characters that you are more excited to ink? Just in general, do you have like favorite characters that you've worked on, or is it just equally all the same?
Well, I never really thought about it in those terms, but if I'm going to think about it, yeah, probably inking Backlash was really fun, because if you guys are familiar with the character, He
Oh,
has
yeah.
a lot of black in his suit, so
Yeah.
there's different ways to approach it. And I don't know if anybody remembers who Edwin Rosell is, but he inked Brett on a few Backlash pieces and books. So he would go out with a reprotograph and, you know, kind of trace all the black areas
Huh.
and then go over with a brush. But when I walked in there, the way I saw Trevor ink, because he inked that first Storm War Zero, I think that was Brett's first published work. So he would go directly to the areas. So that was super fun. Getting that I would always jump in and dive into the blacks with the brush, and it wasn't as common that, you know, for us to use a brush that much for, you know, rendering and spotting blocks and things like that.
Really? Huh. I never knew
Because
that.
we use quills, you know,
Quills, yeah.
the Jalot, which is I think a 659 that Scott Williams used on his X-Men run and probably some of the first Wildcat stuff, and then later on the Hunt 102 that he was using when I came in. The Jalot give you a kind of a blooperier, like thicker line. If you Kayla, if you ever take a peek of a Jim's run on Uncanny.
Okay, yep, I'm familiar. I have all of the Uncanny.
And then later on, like the Wildcat stuff, then
yes.
then you can see how it kind of changed and became a little bit more more detailed and thinner in the line work.
Yeah, that's for sure. And honestly, the early Wildcats run with Jim and Scott is probably some of my favorite combo of their work. Like I just really loved the like Wildcats 1 through 5 specifically. Like I just loved whatever they were doing, whatever techniques they were jamming together. Like that stuff just looked fantastic to me. And I loved the X-Men and I loved Uncanny X-Men, but Wildcats came around and it was completely different to me. Like there was something about that that was just, man, it still sticks out in my mind today. It's just beautiful work.
Yeah, for me, it's the first 3 issues of X-Men, that that story arc with Magneto that kind of set up everything with X-Men, and then a lot of the Uncanny X-Men that he was doing, that's just beautiful. And then I think he kind of hit his mojo right there with the Wildcats.
Yeah, that was a great run right there. Like, and that was peak me discovering comics and really falling in love with comics was right around that time. So going from the X-Men and going into Wildcats and just experiencing that all within those 4 or 5 years, whatever you want to talk about, span of time, was just completely life-changing to me. When you talk about an imagination and a love for wanting to draw and wanting to make comics, like that is what made me want to be a comic book artist, was that era right there.
For me, what captivated me, it was that all that Neil's Adam Batman stuff. That is just some amazing stuff.
Yeah,
it definitely was. I mean, may he rest in peace.
It's not a filter, guys. There's no filter.
Tremendous.
She just has light.
I have a light now, guys.
Yeah.
I have a ceiling light, guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Everyone is surprised that I usually stream in the dark, but I have a ceiling light now. So I didn't have one for a long time.
Bacon,
so everyone's like
Richie
surprised, I guess. What was I going to say now?
I'm sorry. I just there was a debate going on. I just wanted to be like, no, it's just light. There's finally light.
Everyone that knows me knows I'm very computer illiterate. So
Neon Detective said,
Sal, trust me.
Neon Detective said, yo, Joe Backer, 885 and Reaper Destroyer got the Dale cover. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we got a bunch of new people here. We got Richie, we got Bordeaux, we got the Neon Detective. Let's see. I don't know if I said hey to, I'm pretty sure I did, but if I didn't, hail to Past Master Dan, jumped in the house. Art and Times of Jay Ryan jumped in as well. We also have David Carmichael. McFarlane was my inspiration. I tell you what, if you go far enough back, to me, this is how it was for me specifically. first off was McFarlane. Like because I was a Spider-Man fan, so I just kind of gravitated to McFarlane, and just obviously for obvious reasons back then. And then I fell in love with Jim Lee. He was my first love when it comes to like a comic book artist. Like it was just when I found Jim Lee, it was over. And then I kind of graduated, got into Liefeld and Silvestri and everybody after that. But yeah, McFarlane was one of the first. McFarlane Lee. I feel like that's what it is with a lot of comic book fans my age or aspiring artists my age. It was like the McFarlane, Lee, Liefeld was the big inspiration.
Yeah, for me, McFarlane was like a smack in the face. So you're like, okay, I love comics, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, bam.
Yeah.
It's like so completely different, yet it's just captivating your mind, and you know that you're never going to forget the first time that you saw that. The amount of detail, the contortions, just an amazing artist.
Yeah, hands down.
Oh, you have a question in the chat from Justin Ward.
Did I miss it?
It's right underneath that one.
Oh, it's the newest one. There it is. Yes. How are you seeing this like before I see it? It's crazy.
I read super fast.
That must be it. So Justin Ward asked, does Sal Regla ever work with John Malin at Image?
I don't remember working with him, no, unfortunately.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit later. How long were you out of comics? Like when was the last time you kind of did work before now? Because I think Malin was a little bit more in the 2010s.
The last thing I did was a Cyberforce reboot with Koi Fam, and I wanted to do a little bit of what I had done with the Magdalena in terms of looks. Right after that, I think Tyler had, for whatever reason, Bat wasn't able to work with Tyler, so he called me up and he wanted me to go over with him to DC. But at that point, I was kind of done. Maybe I can tell a little bit about the story of why I kind of got burned down into comics, but
I think if that's something you would like to talk about, you can be as honest and as open as you want to be. You're entitled to be genuinely you.
It's very simple. It's nothing out of this world. I took on too much work, which is probably everyone's story when they burn out. What had happened is my wife and I had invested quite a bit of money in real estate, and the market crashed on us in 2008. There was a lot of tenants that weren't able to pay their rent. So it set me back on the mortgages, property taxes, you name it, HOAs. So I took on as much work as I could do. At the time, I was doing a book with Tyler, and everybody knows how much detail Tyler puts in. And at the same time, I was doing a disservice to Ale Garza by inking, Fathom when I was in that kind of, in retrospect, I wish I could have done better, but that's just what happened. That's my story. And after that, I was working, like insane amount of hours, 7 days a week. After that, I literally could not look at a comic page. And everybody has artist block. You feel that day where you're like, okay, you know what, I don't really want to get down and dirty with this today. I'm gonna have to do something else. But if I saw a page, it doesn't matter how beautiful it was, I just wasn't having it. And then at that moment, I just thought, if I can't invest myself into it, if I can't have a certain level of the dedication and desire to what I'm going to do, because I try to approach everything, at least something that I'm really interested in, 120%. Right. Brett will tell you, I'll talk to him and I'll say, what, I didn't like this page. And I didn't, I've redrawn pages from Lost Serpent Prince because I didn't feel like that they were, up to a certain level of, of pulchritude or whatever word you want to use. It's kind of yeah.
Oh,
like, wait, you're gonna redo that? You're insane.
I wouldn't want to put up something that I feel like if I was an artist, I wouldn't want to master anything because I would want to continually be able to learn things, because once you feel that you've mastered something, you stop learning, and that stops your growth. There's always going to be newer techniques, or you're going to find a better way to do something or a faster way to do something. So you have to be open to all of that. But then on the other hand, I would also never want to put out something that has my name on it that I am not completely proud of, you know, and that I don't want to look back and say, you know, I could have done this better, you know, knowing that I didn't give it my all, you know, so I could understand that. Not that I'm an artist, but if I was,
that's a good lesson for life, and a good, you know, a good way to live and, you know, approach all things. And sometimes it's not that it looks bad per se, but you're like, oh wow, I took the wrong approach with that. And then when we talk a little bit about the other stuff, you know, I'll be able to kind of show you maybe use. And I was unlucky to kind of nail down or settle down on a particular style. You're going to see stuff that is super clean. And ironically, I was nominated, I can't remember what years, 2 years in a row, someone from Marvel that for Best Inker with the Harvey Award, and someone from Marvel who is a great inker beat me both years. But it's some of the most you know, unimage stuff that you would ever even think of. I'll probably share some of it, but you know, yes.
Yeah, well, definitely. So, guys, if you were just joining us here, you didn't catch the beginning of the show. We're Sal's going to be doing an inking demo here coming up. We're actually going to watch him do some inking. He's going to talk over process and all that kind of stuff. So, if that really interests you, definitely stick around and check that out, because I know for me, I absolutely love that kind of stuff. We had Justin Ward said, "Do you think that you would have been less likely to burn out like that if instead of just monotonous inking, you were more of a creator and doing pencils?"
I think that, you know, as an inker, you especially if you're lucky enough to work with someone as great and as understanding as Brett is, because he'll give you an enormous amount of latitude of room to express yourself. As you can see, you know, all the people that ink him, we all take a different approach to it. So, you know, there's a lot of creativity in my mind, and that's something that I really love to do. That's where I'm not someone that, you know, is very creative, but from artistically and technically, I'm pretty good at the stuff that I do. But as far as like creating stuff, I always have a lot of respect and admiration for guys like you, Joe, because you're able to take a concept out of your mind and put it to paper. I'm just not built up. I'm not cut that way. I'm more like you're like a clerk or like a scribe from the old ages, just kind of like.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, because I always think inkers, they are the people that make or break a piece.
True. Yes, absolutely.
You know, so at first, can I tell you, and I'm going to be completely honest, and I've said it before on here, I used to think, until I started working a lot of comic cons with the comic book shop, and, you know, I had great experiences. You know, I got to meet Joe Sennett a bunch of times because the owner's friend worked with him. So, you know, and just getting to see things unfold. And I always thought inkers were just like tracers, basically, like that movie, that Kevin Smith
narrative
movie
that was put out there.
I used to think, like, you know, I didn't realize the importance of an inker's job until I started seeing the process live at comic conventions. And then I was like, wow, this person added this piece, doesn't even, wow, what would this be if this, you know? So I think you're harder on yourself than you need to be, because I'm sure, like, if you compare some of the before and afters, not that it's not beautiful art, you enhanced the artwork.
Yeah. And especially if he's understanding enough that really it's just kind of an interpretation of how I see his work, or everybody else's work for that matter. You know, you have two great artists from our generation, Bat and Weems, who have inked your stuff, Joe. So you can right off the bat tell that they have different approaches, and yet they're almost on the same level in terms of, you know, beauty and the what is that they're outstanding at in their work. So
1,000%.
So, thank you because we're all misunderstood.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get to that demo here pretty soon. We've been going for an hour, but this is a really cool question. I like this. Everson asked, with the increasing use of digital work, some pencilers are making their own ink. I don't think that the inker profession will end, but how do you see this scenario?
I think that maybe we will end, because the easier it is to go from pencils to inks, that maybe it's a lost art, and in some ways maybe that is the way of progress in terms of what we do. It's just the unforgiving, unrelenting march of time and progress.
That maybe in a scenario where more artists start inking themselves, I could see that. But to me, and we talked about this, Sal, the other day, to me, the collaboration is what I love about working with inkers, is that my work is my work and it stands for itself, and their work is their work. And when you merge them together and it becomes this collaboration, to see what the two people have put together is beautiful to me. And that's comic book art to me. Like that's comic book art. I like inking myself. That's fun to do. I enjoy doing that when I do commissions or whatever. But really jamming with another person and seeing like their take with my pencils, or my base and all that kind of stuff, is what I really like to see. And I like to see that out of other artists too, so maybe it will, but I think I love it so much. Like I don't feel like it will completely disappear.
Well, yes. And if you think about how many guys were inking themselves, 20, 30 years ago, how many can you name? Todd McFarlane, Mark Teixeira. And now, you'd have half of the industry. I don't know what percentage that is. So that's, when I see a pattern, the pattern is it's going to either continue or it's going to recede or whatever. But I just see that from a financial standpoint, and we can't forget that these institutions are money-making operations. The saving grace would be, the independent and the independent creators like you and Brett. Now he's going through this other avenue. That's the saving grace for all of us. But it's quite possible that that's just the trend that I see. And it's like, you can't get emotional about it. It's just kind of what I see. I would love nothing else that for what you guys what you guys think would take place, but that's just kind of how I see it.
Go ahead, Kayla. I know you're chomping.
I don't, because you're gonna think I work at a shop, and I work at a very busy shop during the weekends in October. I spent 12 years working in a shop, and I go back and work in October on the weekends, and then I do shows when I'm called to do shows. So there is a demand for traditional art. So that, traditional inks on pencils, digital can't do that. It cannot provide that. And as long as that there is that demand for people that are collectors or want original art from that manner, it's it's always going to exist.
Yeah, it'll probably will always exist in some in some capacity, but as far as it being like the norm in the industry, you just think about what I said earlier, like what was the percentage of people that inked themselves 30 years? I can only think of two people. I can think of right off the top of my head, Todd McFarlane and Mark Teixeira. I'm sure there was many others, but
Art Adams.
Yeah. There is a ton of people that definitely ink themselves, but like talking to Brett, he kind of has my thought process on that too, or maybe I have his thought process, is that I would much rather work with a seasoned professional inker that can enhance my work and bring it to the best it can be than for me to ink it and maybe be just a little bit less, even though I enjoy inking. I think that's why the inkers are so important, because inking is its own skill. Like I can ink like I draw, and I can kind of mess around with line weights and all this kind of stuff, but an actual inker can bring out the line weights, can bring out the dynamics that I'm trying to do within the pencils better than I might be doing through inks. So to me as an artist, like that's where I stand. Like I got no problem with people that ink themselves. Sometimes people look the best when they ink themselves. That's just what it is. But I would much rather work with a more seasoned hand over my lines personally.
I understand, and that's, like I said before, I think the possibility is that the creators that are making those decisions, but at in other institutions or publishing houses, unfortunately, the creator doesn't get to make that decision in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I look at it solely as as what it is at the end of the day, a money making operation. And if guys like you are more in control, and that's, by the way, that's like an amazing new frontier that is opening up, you and everybody else, the creators, being in complete control of what you do. That's just going to, like, that is a very, very exciting time for me to see what happens and what the future brings, because for an artist to have full creative control, like Brett and I always tell him, look, if you have any issue with what I'm doing, just let me know, because at the end of the day, I'm just a guy here. I'm a very pessimistic kind of guy, if you guys haven't got that.
You're a realist.
Yeah. So look, I serve no other purpose other than to help you achieve your vision, or get as close as I can to your vision. If he happens to like what I do, and we don't have any conversations like, well, that didn't look so well, but at the end of the day, that's what that is.
Justin Ward asks, I wonder if he knows Art T. Berry's pretty close, or a pretty iconic inker from around his era. I'm sure you probably do. Have you ever met Art?
Which Art T. Berry?
Art T. Berry, yeah.
Oh yeah, I could mention a lot of people. Yeah, he was amazing. I love his stuff over. When he took over with Scott Williams from the the X-Men, there was a stretch where they couldn't figure out who was going to ink Jim, and it was like Bob Wycheck and a group of other people, Al Milgram, and then Art T. Berry came in and was doing, in fact, finishes, I think, over that work. Now he's an amazing artist. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
No disrespect, you're an amazing inker.
Yeah, Art T. Berry is, and it's funny because when I was younger, I didn't realize that he was doing finishes over Jim Lee in the later part of the X-Men run, because it was so well done that honestly, like, it was fantastic. You couldn't tell the difference. He's a fantastic talent.
Yeah, it's weird, because you're such a fan, right? Immediately as you're telling me that, his Cable stuff that he drew comes to mind.
Oh yeah, the Cable stuff. Yes. Yeah, the Cable miniseries. Yeah, that was actually one of my first introductions to the character when I was younger. Because I knew the character was around, but like, that was what was going on when I was in that stage of collecting comics, was his miniseries on Cable at the time. So like, that was the Cable that stood out in my mind, was Art T. Berry's Cable. Yeah, absolutely killed it. We got Rick Saylor in the house, another member of the channel. Hail, Rick. Good to see you, brother. All right. Well, Kayla, I know you got a lot of questions to deal with the inking.
I want to grab a drink real quick. I'm out.
Yeah, go for it. I was about to say,
have water before. I'm hoping before we start, I can go.
Yeah, I was just about to say that now would probably be a good time, if we can, to go over this inking demo, and hopefully everything pops up just fine. But I think this would be a good time.
To give a couple of shout outs?
Oh, absolutely. Go for it.
I want to give a shout out to Claudia Chung, who helped me get some of these pictures that I'm about to attempt to show, because you all know how that went, right, Joe?
Yeah.
So present, correct?
Yes. Yep. Just like you did earlier before we went live. Should be there. If you have any issues, we'll love to have you back on again. So there you go. Okay.
There we go. So we're on. You can see my screen?
Yep, I can see you down there. So whenever you get to what you actually want to share, then I'll pop you in there.
Yeah, so I wanted to share a little bit. We have social media and all of that. So I wanted to share share a little bit about my family. So
nice.
Here we have. This is my family. We have. Are you able to share that now?
All right, hold on a second. I'm not seeing anything pop up down here. So whatever you were sharing, it's not what's down here that I see.
Oh, okay. So we're not going to be able to do this apparently.
We might be able to. So you're sharing a screen down there, but if you were trying to share something specific from another part of the screen, you might have to select when you go into the presents and present screen, you might have to go into a window or something else. You were sharing your entire screen down there, which I can see, but the pictures up that you were trying to, I don't see down there.
Oh, okay. So I'm probably not going to be able to figure this out.
Like I said, if you can't figure it out, we'll definitely have you back on again to get all that done for sure. So don't stress out if you can't do it. No worries.
Yeah. So yeah, let me step out for a second. I'll see if my son is here, and then I can figure out if he can help me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Go for it. Yep, I can handle the chat. We're gonna take a short commercial break. All right, everyone. I know we're taking a little bit of a break at looking at this amazing comic book art and checking out some of these awesome stories that should never be forgotten. I just want to take a second to let you guys know that this channel is now monetized. What does that mean? Well, you can send super chats with any kind of question that will be answered immediately, right off the bat, ahead of everybody else. Super chats help fund Superior Press and everything that I'm trying to do over here with Reaper Destroyer and appreciating comic book art. So I thank you all very much. I'd like to remind you, you can become a member of this channel now. You can get exclusive behind the scenes look at me working on Reaper Destroyer from the beginning to the end. Your eyes only. You get to see what nobody else sees. Also, every 4 months, we're doing original art giveaway to all of my members. All right, back to your regular scheduled programming. I do see Noah in the house. Hail, Noah. Good to see you, brother. It's been a second. Chris Stanley, let's see. Once you get together, it's already start. Oh, sweet. Newest member. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. See, all you got to do is advertise it sometimes. If you guys missed it earlier in the show, we were talking about Bat and Weems inks and all that kind of stuff and how they enhance stuff. While Sal's trying to figure out on his end, if you guys missed last week's show, I showed off some original. I don't know what you're eating. Oh, cheese.
Always.
Makes me feel kind of hungry now. I showed off some original art from Reaper Destroyer's campaign. Some of the stuff that's up for sale on the original art the original art tier. This is Joe Weems over my original pencils, original board, all that kind of stuff. Let me move this out of the way. So I showed off a page last week. This is another page that I've got in my possession. Just absolutely gorgeous. This shows you like what an inker can do. Get in here and just enhance the lines, line work, line weights. Just gorgeous work. Look at that.
The detail.
Let me mute Sal there for a second. But yeah, this is just blown away. When Sal was talking about seeing these guys up close and personal and just it being an experience, 100%. Like seeing that stuff up close, seeing all the detail. Oh, man. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky with the guys I got to work on with this book. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I figure it out. My daughter's going to come here, figure it out. And my son, we have another house like, 2 minutes from here. So my son is going to come and try to figure it out. So,
okay. Sounds good.
So look, when I hit present, right? Present screen here, share screen.
It's always a learning experience.
Try to press that.
Should I share window or entire screen?
Entire screen.
Joe. Hello?
Entire screen.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought you were talking to
So you want to share, you want to click on the window you want to share and then the entire screen for that, correct?
Well, I have 3 options. Choose what to share, entire screen, window, or Chrome tab.
Oh.
I would share the window. If you have a video that's open on your desktop, go to window and share that.
Window first, or do I open the window first, like the video, or do I click window?
Yeah, make sure it's open on your desktop. So when I was bringing up pictures when you guys were talking, I had a bunch of stuff on my desktop that would open on my desktop, and I could just share it to the live stream.
Okay, so I'll just go with this right here. It's open, and so I hit window.
Yep. It should be there if it's available to share. If it's open.
It is. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
God.
There we go. Okay, cool. Here we go. Here, I'll bring this up. There we go. All right, we are good to roll. Look at
There's
that.
no way. I spent like so much time doing this. So prior to deciding to make all of this about myself, I was of thinking that no one would really want to see anything other than the art. So my apologies, everybody for hogging most of the conversation. But here, what I prepared is just a little video, and to kind of talk a little bit about my process, and then later on we can share some digital inks. So this is I wanted to share a little bit, and Brett gave me the okay to share some of the artwork.
Nice. Thank you, Brett. By the way,
the Lost Serpent Prince. Yeah, shout out to Brett for being
awesome,
an artistic genius and like a great guy all around, and allowing me to share all this stuff. So what I do immediately when I get his page, I look at it, I take a peek at it, and then I convert that to blue line. For the longest time, I was inking from the pencils, but once I started using the blue line, I felt a little bit better about the process. And I just want to give you guys a quick look of his work. Let me fast forward a little bit here.
I love it.
Close up of the panels here, and then I think I'm going to. I kind of sort of abbreviate most of this because I imagined that we were going to be talking about most of the time. So here, I'm going to turn the inks on right here, and if you can see there's a difference and there's a lot of stuff that I'm adding there in terms of texture and line weights and things like that to the picture.
Yeah, that's a great example of right there between the penciler and inker's relationship. I mean, everything that needed to be there was there by Brett. Well done, and you just come in, you enhance it. I don't know if this is the real Brett Booth or not, but he says you're welcome. If it is. Sometimes people have fake names on here, but if it is, we appreciate it. Like this is really awesome to be able to see this.
So his work, to me, when I see it, it's either really energetic or I'm going to have to take like a different approach, like soften things up with what I do with the female characters and things like that.
Yeah.
But I love to add, the texture, and if you see his pencils, probably around some edges, it will be a little bit softer, but I love that, Top Cow. Specifically, I think Joe Weems look to things. So I try to now you can see the inks again, and I want you guys to look at it and then see what, because at the end of the day, it's that leeway that we get, or I get from Brett, and that interpretation of what he has there. Just wanted to give the fans a little bit of a look, because most of the time, I was thinking about this yesterday, that most of the people or most of the fans will not be able to see the work other than in print. So then before I started like going on tangents and making
this is great.
I want to do it primarily about the work and a celebration of his work, and just the medium in general.
This is one of the reasons why I always tell people that are doing campaigns like mine to put out a black and white line art edition, so you can just see the work by the inkers without the colors. Colors are great, but they can cover up a lot of the line work, and you miss stuff like this. Like as an artist,
well, remember the ash cans that used to come out of Image?
Oh, yeah.
Love
like
them.
I geek out about this stuff, like just seeing all the line work. Like that's what I love about art. That's what I love about the inking process. Seeing this go from Brett's finished pencils to your finished inks is just, I love this. Like this is great.
And so when I see the page, I'm thinking about like, am I going to break up blacks? Am I going to make this edgier? Is it going to have a softer look? So if you see the helmet, he just he indicated where he wanted blacks, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to give her texture and and just kind of make it a little bit break it up a little bit. Just to give some style to it.
Where do you even start when you like where is your starting point?
Well, usually what I do is I I draw the panel borders, or I do the line. I use the line tool to do the panel borders,
Okay.
and I put them on a separate layer, lock the layer, and then I go from there and I go to work on. It's just I know I've always hated this, but I think you guys remember Tom McQueenie, and he was I think Matt Broom used to make this joke that he was kind of like a 9-to-5er, because he would come in and he would do his panel borders, and then he would do all the contours of the bodies, and then he would do the hairs, and then he would do the blacks, and then he would do the rendering, and it was like, oh my god, no, really? How could he do that?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say a question from the chat, and Sandy X Draws says, what program are you using to ink digitally?
I use both. Great question. Thank you. Because some of this stuff I don't really, I don't want. I figured it out. I'm sorry, my man. Go back. Thanks twice. I've called him and he never got there. Yes. So I use Clip Studio and Procreate. I just switch between. This particular one is Clip Studio, but I work at 8 by dimensions are 8 by 12 at 600 DPI. I used to work at comic book size 11 by 17, but I found that I was able to zoom in too much on the page, and I'm afraid, most people will tell you, no, do not zoom in.
Yeah.
Perspective, all this and all that. No, I'm going to zoom in the same way. I used to ink. I used to get right on top of the page. So 8 by 12 at 600 DPI. I was just doing a little too much with the 8.5 by 11. And so here's a little bit of, just kind of texture, and you're going to get to see the amount of stuff that we add, and, the bloops, and, you probably see all that stuff on Adelsa's work. So
yeah, for sure.
We take the lines and, we add accents and line weights and, that sort of thing. Just
I love the thick to thins. I love the breakup there. Like the bloops you're saying. Like man.
Yeah, because that if there's anything that we can remember the 90s, work, and the Scott Williams work from the 2000s and all that, is just the thick to thin aspect to the line. Quill, and you can achieve that with the brush, but I don't think they have the same feel to it. But this is just basically my go-to texture and the backgrounds brush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me speed up this a little bit. Everybody can see.
I agree, Rock On. This is awesome. I love seeing this kind of stuff.
And then here's I constantly do this. This is funny, but as I go along, I have my pencil layer in case I need to reference if the blue line is not legible, or if I can't really see what's going on. I go back to the pencil layer. Then I have my blue line layer, and I duplicate that. And as I go along, I'm just kind of like I try to hold on to the tradition of the traditional art, and I erase the page as I go along.
Right. Erase the pencils when it's done. It's just inks left. Yep.
That's probably the closest thing. And then here, I think I'm showing you stuff that is a little bit grittier in nature.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I never really settle into a particular style. I just I'm able to go all over the place. I don't know if that's a detriment or an advantage, but
I think it's a strength, honestly, because it allows you to experiment and to add new stuff into what you're doing. And like you said earlier, when you see it, ink it, like the whole that
exactly.
made a lot of sense when you put it out there like that. Like,
and I always think about that, even when I was in inking. There's certain phrases and things that people tell you, they just kind of stick in your mind.
Yeah. Oh man,
I just wanted everybody to take a peek at the pencils and talk a little bit about my approach.
I love just seeing raw pencils. Like, to me, besides the finished comic book, if you had the chance to get just the black and white version, so you get the inks, and then you get another version where it's just the pencils, I would buy all of that stuff, because as an artist, I learned from that. I learned from looking at original pencils and seeing how guys like Brett, how tight or how loose they go in certain areas, as opposed to like how you will come in, tighten certain things up or finish this kind of stuff. And just, again, the collaboration between, two amazing talents. And this is what you get in the printed form when it's all finished, and then obviously throw in Dollhouse here with colors on this book. And it's just beautiful, beautiful work.
So let me see if you can speed up some of this stuff, because all right, so here is the finished ink. I'm going to turn off the layer, and you'll get to see it. This is all a recording, so I can speed it up or whatever. If you want to take a look at something that I already went by, just let me go. And then, just toying around with the brick texture, like putting a texture brush in there.
Oh, I see that. Yep, a little bit.
And then for this piece, as I was finishing it, was like, okay, I will have all that open space on the top, and I want to kind of set the mood. And all of this I do on a different layer, and then I send it to Brett, and it's always a text. He'll let you know, like, hey, can you approve this so I can send it out?
Right.
Yeah, I'm never gonna send anybody unless it was like really difficult. So you can see like all the stuff. I love to work on his backgrounds. There's like this, the hypnotic effect to driving that can calm you down.
Yeah.
Unless you're stuck in Southern California traffic. There's this, if you can see, like, you can look at the stuff around the trash can, and you can see how much I've added to kind of like just set the mood better. And the backgrounds is just something that I really love. There's so much of it in so many ways. I think I probably popped that up again so you guys can take a peek of what he has indicated there. And then, we're just gonna. I love the Tapcow stuff, specifically like the Joe Weems stuff on the background. So my stuff is gonna have a lot of bloops and to it. So
honestly, that's my favorite kind of stuff. Like we talked about Bat and Weems. Like I love the blue. Even like Adelso does that as well.
Yeah.
This hand right here is great when you're talking about like line weights. Because if you look at Brett's, something with pencilers, like we can do a little bit thinner lines. Like there are some pencilers that put a lot of line weights into their work as well. You don't necessarily need to, because a good inker like yourself will come in and give a thick to thin line weights around certain parts of your base and really bring it out. And I noticed that with that hand that you kind of, if you looked at Brett's original hand and then looked at the inked version, you can see, how you've brought it out. You've kept his energy, you've kept his base there, and then you brought it out, you added to it, and it's just. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about everywhere. I talk about the marriage or the collaboration between an inker and an artist. Like, this is a perfect example of what we're seeing.
And you have to have that understanding. He has to be understanding enough, and I have to, be respectful of the work and know the direction that he wants to take all of his stuff in. Because at the end of the day, I said it before, it's his vision. My grandfather was a major in the Mexican army, so I'm all about order and chain of command and that sort of thing.
Yeah, this is beautiful work. Like, love this.
As I was saying before, there was that open area, and again, just really grateful and respectful of the leeway that he gives me. I thought about, I always put all this kind of stuff in a different layer. So I was thinking of the mood. Oh, and then here you're going to see just a lot of hatching and things like that. But
love it. Yeah. That's right up my alley.
Oh yeah. So, if he's comfortable enough, he'll let me, do a lot of this kind of stuff in there and, pull out of the blacks and in maybe a different way. But it's like, okay, well, this is a zombie. I think it'll be cool if I did this. And if you look at all that stuff, that's just basically like my interpretation of the stuff that Joe Weems did, And I mean, if it's just a twist to it, and it's just the elements that I think I saw, and I don't even think that I set out to like really, I'm going to copy the way he curved on this line or that line, or Bat did this or that. It's just that you take it in, and it's just kind of, if you like it enough, there's an inspiration there, and that's how everything works. I mean, music, coaching, every aspect of life, parenting,
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep talking about this, So I'm
Oh,
like,
nice.
you know what? I think I'm going to add mood because obviously this is in a post-apocalyptic scene without
Yeah.
with the script and stuff like that. But now you can see how really jagged and blooped and crazy and loose I got with the inks because I just want to portray the energy and the mood that he said in the pencils. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that was one thing. Brett's pencils are a lot of energy, a lot of dynamic within his work. And when you see the finished work with your work, and especially with Adelso's too, and I've talked to Brett about this before, guys like you two that can keep that energy when it's finished is important because somebody could go through there and they lose the energy because of just the way that it inks. It doesn't translate right. But seeing this, I mean, you captured it perfectly. The energy's there, the line work's there. It's just, like, yeah, this is great. This is great.
I try to add my 2 cents on the storytelling aspect of it. And so if I was going to approach this, like I see a lot of people inking bet online, but you have to think of the mood and the storytelling aspect of it. So I think that I asked him, are you okay with that background? And he's like, okay, it fits his mind, it fits what we're trying to do here. And it, probably Andrew is really happy because he doesn't have to think about that.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say before you showed the background blacked out like that with the splatter, I was thinking like, well, I mean, that's an area that Andrew could do. The colorist could come in and handle that as well. But there is something to me special about the black and white aspect of it. It adds so much to it. And I also like the little splatter you have kind of on some of the characters, just very slight, like on the zombie's leg that's on the some of the splatter now that you just see just kind of very lightly put through there.
Yeah, on his leg.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't think that if he gave me, I wouldn't say leeway, but be understanding of the process and because you have to bring something to the table, I feel that number one, he'd be as satisfied with it because to him it's like, whoa, wow, that's a pretty nice accident or accent that Sal is adding to it, and that wouldn't be as satisfying in terms of your the creative aspect of being an inker.
Right. Yeah. Larad says liking how much that tie in the larger forward zombie is popping out, office worker zombie. Yeah. Storytelling, I love it. Yeah.
Thank you. So let me figure out how to share another window. So hopefully I can do this again. So let's grab another clip here.
All right. While you're doing that, I'm going to bring up Leandro said earlier, wow, you guys, this is great insight. Do you create your own brushes on Procreate or do you use the standard ones?
I feel like there's a huge misconception in terms of like, the brushes and things like that. Because Clip comes with a great brush that I could probably use anything to ink with, and it's the mapping pen brush. But I do create a lot of brushes, and sometimes we talked about this, that I do it a little bit too much, and I probably should relax a little bit on that. But here we go. You can see this?
Not yet.
Oh. All right, hold up.
Was it an easy transition from inking traditionally into the digital stuff?
I think that I had been. Can you guys see this?
I think you have to share. You have to share the new screen.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah,
I had to do something real quick. Yep, there it is.
Okay. Well, for me, I had been away from comics for such a long time that it really wasn't a transition at all. But I probably I'll share some of the stuff later on. But I just started inking and drawing digitally during the pandemic, so for me, it was just like, it was kind of like as I was starting anew.
Before you go farther and start this, Chris Stanley asked, he says, sorry, is this getting crowdfunded, or where can we sign up for this? This is actually through Artist Elite right now. I think there are 3 issues out right now. I don't know how many exact issues are going to be. I know that Brett wants to do some crowdfunding stuff in the future. I've told him before that, I'd love to see a full issue of Lost Serpent Prince, not a part of like the anthology of other characters, because I think it's the most interesting character and the best looking book. But yeah, just so Chris, just go to your LCS, and it's Artist Elite Presents right now, and issue 1 and issue 3 have this in it, or at least the Lost Serpent Prince with Brett and Sal.
Just want to make sure that you guys can see the screen right now, because I had about 1,000 panic attacks when I couldn't figure stuff out.
Yeah, nope, it's all good. Yep, we're seeing it. Yep,
so
good.
Here's another Lost Serpent Prince stuff, and then like, here's where we're going into like that other kind of Danny Mickey end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
that, I'm trying to figure out, and with the storytelling and stuff. So here's the complete page, and I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into the stuff that I do, how I see about it, and you will get an idea of how much the storytelling aspect, how crucial it is, and how much it can add to the piece, to the work, because at the end of the day, it's a collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is great. Yeah.
So I take a peek, and then after I do the borders, then I'm a backgrounds guy, so I'll probably go in there and start with the backgrounds. If you look at the first panel, I'm probably going to add, I see a lot of possibilities there, and you're going to see what it's going to look like, because I want to accentuate some of the stuff that Brett has done. Here at the bottom, it's all full of energy, and I just want to see how it plays out. And then from there, depending how it's going to turn out, I'm going to add more or less texture. So if it was a different scene, like at a gala with some girl, and her boyfriend or husband, then I'd probably take a completely different approach. But now it's wham, it's action, it's gritty, it's in your face. And so I'm going to try to lean heavily on the textures on this page. And then in this panel here, in the middle panel, I'll probably dial that back a little bit when we're talking about his face, and add some elements to the background, and then play around a little bit with some other stuff. So if you take a look particularly at that first panel where he's now you can see all the stuff that I'm trying to add, and just to make it even more gritty and and again, 1,000 thank yous to Brett for being, not only such a great guy, but allowing me to express myself and, explore certain areas of my creativity and kind of what I see in what he does. So gritty. When we at the main character and the protagonist, then we're going to dial all that back to separate them from everything else, to create that contrast and bring attention to the subject, which in this case it's him and what we're seeing in the story, and then we see the storytelling aspect of it, and you can all see the beautiful Brett's pencils. And get a lot. So where I was getting really loopy and crazy and edgy with the line on his face, I'm going to do the opposite. Because he's the main protagonist, he's the good guy, so that's just kind of how I approach it. I don't want to approach everything the same. I'm pretty sure that every inker does this on some level of another.
I love the line.
You see, like the hair is really clean and crisp, and I always like to put a lot of time in the hair. Number one, because I don't have any, but super generous. But I just think that you know, the hair is an important part of who the character is, especially like with the girls
I agree.
characters. So I have two beautiful ladies in my life, which is my young daughter and my wife, and you know, I can see the attention and that and the significance that has in their life. So I try to do the same in my work. Let me see, speed some of this up.
Yeah, I was just say, seeing this all come together is just, oh yeah, now this is just wicked. Like the textures and stuff he used it within his face now, just from seeing Brett's pencils from before, and now seeing the finish in the face. It's just, yeah, that's
and I always put that stuff on a separate layer because he's like, okay, you know what, that's cool, I love it, but this is kind of what I want to do. So it's like no harm, no foul, you know. I tried, I did, but if he likes it, it's fine. If he doesn't like it, just as much, you know, because again, I keep saying this, but it's his vision,
right? Yeah, for sure.
And he's the genius, you know what I mean. And at the end of the day, that's who he is. He's just like he's part of a select group of artists. You know, very few people can do stuff to this level, and you know, the output is just beyond
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So maybe I think I probably wanted to take a quick peek at this without the pencils. So there it is. You know, we're just gonna put a little bit more. You know, we're gonna he's put down where he wants the line weight, so I might accentuate that a little bit more. We're going to make the rubble a lot more edgy, and so that it looks like, you know, broken pieces of wood, and then we're going to jazz up the smoke, and you know, the textures in the backgrounds, we're going to play with them a little bit.
Gyro says the textures on the shadow in the background, beautiful. Yeah, so with the blue liner, the original pencils, was Brett wanting just originally a heavy shadow on the face there?
Yeah.
And then you
went
in
there and I was like thinking, okay, well, look, let's think about the texture and everything else. And again, I just do everything in a separate layer. So the moment he says it's cool, you know, sometimes I keep it, and sometimes I'll just blend the layer. Or what I'll do is, you know, I'll duplicate the layer, hide the layer, lock it, and then go ahead and do some kind of work and see if it works, and if it doesn't work. You know, we kind of broke up. If you look at the wood in the back, we broke it up. We added lines, you know, and then used a splatter brush and some hatching in the background. Then I cross hatch with white on top of that.
You know, I really like the line work in the rips of the midsection of the shirt on the zombie. It really adds like a twisting energy. To the pencils. I mean, just in the thick to thin line work and all that stuff. It just, this again, guys, like this is the stuff that I geek out to. Like I can look at line work all day long.
This is the stuff that I love to do. And quite honestly, if it was somebody else, I probably wouldn't enjoy it, or would probably not want to do this kind of stuff, because this is me. Yes, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No, I'm just wondering, how do you determine what the proper line weight is to use? Like during this process?
Well, you know, a good rule of thumb is to not get thicker when the pencil line is, you know, and as far as the rendering, unless it's like going from thick to thin. Again, going back to some of the basics that I'm talking about, like one example is where the light's coming from and where the weight is, you know, in terms like of where the weight would be on that muscle or the light, or, you know, you maybe accentuate the bottom of the tricep, that sort of thing. You know, how far things are in terms of depth in the background.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If things are closer to the foreground, they're going to be thicker. As they receive the line weight and even the precision that you use, it should be looser in the back, and you know, thinner and more broken up, I should say.
Yeah, I think Board had a similar question.
I think when you pulled that up, it was pretty much almost the same thing.
That's why I pulled it up. I was like, it's pretty much the same question.
if you look at
comments here,
the forehead, as you go thicker up to the forehead where the base of the hair is, then I got really thicker with the line. Here, let me go back a little bit.
Yeah, that brown bone area and
Yeah,
everything.
and so when it goes all the way up in the scar and closer to the hair, then the line is really thick and juicy, and then in that area where the hair would allow, light to come in, that's where we're not gonna. Yeah, I mean, I actually think about this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like insane. I'm working at it, and I'm doing okay. This, that.
Yeah.
So
No,
these,
it's cool to see how your brain, how you
Yeah.
explain it, to see how your brain works when you're doing this. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, and then again, there's so since he's the main protagonist, I'm going to make him a little bit cleaner than all the other stuff. There's a page, me rushing through it. Again, I wanted to make it about this because I know that this is really what people want to see.
Yeah, like this. No, that's great.
Let me see what's next here. Oh, this is
Oh,
the hair.
yeah, this would be my antagonist if there was a comic book made about me.
right.
So yeah, this is a commission piece by one of the guys that is part of the Wildstorm fan appreciation book. I don't remember what the actual name is, but it's obviously a Wetworks piece. His name is Adam, and I'm just kind of taking a look at all the different stuff that I want to do, and this is why I love Brett's stuff so much. That there is so much that you can do to interpret, his work. I just want to see my battery is doing all right. So there's another peek at it. I think I'm going to go in a little bit and zoom in on the detail.
Yeah, just the
yeah.
I mean, I love the line work. It's a little bit of a splatter is great. The line weight is great. Before you went into this, when you were kind of focusing on the monster's body, and it's just, I love how you work off of the hard line and bring that cross hatching out. It's just, I like that style, like that technique. It does remind me a lot, like a little bit of like a Delso, but like, also like, kind of a Top Cow feel. Yeah, like this. I don't know why I'm pointing. You can't see.
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like right here. No, but yeah, I love that you have just a really solid thick line, and you just have those cross hatching just kind of coming out, lightly.
And all different. And I just I think that to keep it interesting, and because of the nature of the creature, the wolf, I just try to put as many things in as many different ways as I can in terms of like the rendering, to make it all like really kind of fit together.
Yeah, I love that.
And so if you look at the rocks and how I approach them,
Mm-hmm.
the rendering is different. The way some of the stuff might be the same, but here, if you look at his foot, there's
the little hair and all the little detail. Oh my God.
Wow, yeah, it's insane.
So many different lines and ways to come out of the black, and all of that is just a variation of the stuff that Scott used to do, and Joe and Bat do, just kind of a different, everybody has a different way of doing that stuff, but it all comes back to Scott Williams. I was really fortunate to be able to talk to him during the comic book convention, and let him know how much he meant to me and all that stuff. I had a brief conversation with him, and I wanted to get that off my chest because he's meant so much to so many of us.
Yeah, I bet.
And then I just want to go nuts,
Oh, geez. Let me take this off for a second.
This is what.
Oh, I love around the eyes there. Yeah.
Around the nose area.
This is what I wanted to show for the fans because, like I said, most of the fans are never going to be able to see this.
Yeah.
See the printed page, but just the beauty in Brett's work, you know what I mean? And here, so we take another turn, and I'm going to approach it differently, so it has a different look, a more of a metal look.
Yeah, you got the shine or the sheen, whatever you want to call it, a little bit of shine to his symbiote or whatever it is.
And so it's kind of a process, like Brett doesn't have to, but he leaves room for interpretation and expression, and that makes it better. And then the colorist enhances that, because the colorist can also kill your work as well. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Brett's work and mine work, and but Andrew is just a magnificent colorist, and we'll see some of that later.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic too.
But so there he is, a metallic look. And then the gloves, I didn't break up the blacks that much, because I wanted to have solid, a solid look to it. And you're going to see in the face just how well I wanted to make it look metallic and different from everything else. So
yeah,
take a peek in there.
Yeah, it looks so good. Funny Pictures Comics says, everyone calm down, I'm here. What did I miss? Well, you missed a ton of awesomeness. So I definitely go back and watch what you've missed, because this is cool. We're getting a 101 right now. Yeah, I love the approach to the shine of the metal of this character, because it's a completely different way of doing line work, and where you're trying to just show where the light sources are bouncing off of, and again, the colorist is going to come through and really, when they do this, a good colorist is going to come through and really bring that shine out, and it's just going to look perfect. But it's a completely different way to organic than like the smooth metal.
They're going to accentuate, or they're going to obliterate it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I in the rendering, I started thinking about. I was fortunate enough to do a few issues with Wills. Some of the stuff that I enjoyed. I loved inking Wills. We did a Batman black and white issue, and I did quite a bit of wet work stuff with him. Yeah. So I was thinking about the way I did the rendering and the hatching on his stuff, and so let's see some of that.
I just like all the broken lines. Like it's that in itself is a technique, I think, that might get overlooked by some artists, or maybe even some inkers. It's so easy to go in there with like some solid blacks, like just the ability to break the lines up adds so much to the piece.
I used to I have a tendency to do that. So there are some times that I have to really, really dial it back. But so I was thinking about the way I came out of Wills's blacks and how he rendered and stuff like that. So I threw a little bit of that in there. I'm not sure if I can zoom in there, but if you see on the top of her shoulder pad, that's really rich and different from some of the other stuff that I was doing.
Yeah, I love how you really take the time to figure out the different textures and stuff you want to use with different stuff.
Oh, there it is. See,
there we go.
There's if you look at that shoulder blade, or that that shoulder panel, or what the shoulder blade, so you can see all the different type of rendering that there, and that's how I used to approach Will's stuff.
I love that. Yeah.
Look at her, the glove as it goes around her forearm.
Yeah, the different ripples and stuff. Yeah,
and that's all in Brett's work. He just brings it out in me. That's just what people ask me to ink their stuff, but it's never going to look like his stuff, because this is
of course,
this is what this combination. I can't give you the Brett look because you're not Brett Booth.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, I think that's something that people, I don't know if they forget, or they just, an inker is going to be able to do so much for your stuff, but only so much. Like you still have to have the base, you still have to have the talent, and then a good inker is going to be able to come out and play out off that and just really enhance it. I mean, I've seen some of my favorite inkers ink other artists and look at the work and just be like, yeah, it's good, but it's not like when you ink this guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It really is the combination of the two that makes something seem so spectacular. So you got to have it on both sides for sure. And Brett is just, I mean, you can't say enough about Brett.
He just brings this level of expression for me. Other inkers, I'm just going to approach it differently, but it's the way he lays down the pencil. It's this kind of beyond ridiculous, but it's kind of like inviting and leading you into certain areas, into certain ways that just facilitate, expression with the line, and you just kind of see like a world of possibilities, and the joy and the activity shows at the end with the end product. And at the back here, I just added another, that stuff on just for mood.
Yeah, it just gives that energy, the grit.
I love the curve of her body, just the softness to that curve of her body.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful.
I love to treat.
It's like it's very accentuated.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. But I do love to ink the characters, the women, with a lot more grace, and I don't know if that's sexist or not, but
no, it's softer. I can see the difference. Like you can see the difference in the lines from one side to the other side.
And then so here, just go over with the hair with white a little bit, maybe a splatter. I didn't use a lot of splatter before, but now it's like it's something that I'm kind of getting into.
Yeah, I really like how the white cuts. It's just,
I just want to make it look like hair.
Yeah, good layering with that. Leandra said, I'm truly loving Sal's passion. For him to openly admit what Scott meant to him shows the humility and respect of a student and his mentor. What a good man. Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you.
The rad to this page is just amazing. And Gyro said, you can't polish a turd. If the pencils aren't good, no inker will save you. Yes.
Only Gyro. Only Gyro would say.
Truth.
He's right. I'm sorry.
Yep.
You know how they say there's no bad actors, only, or what is it? No, whatever, with the material and stuff like that. No, there's
right. Yeah. Like that.
Let me get out of here for a second. And
men look like men and women look like women. Yep. I mean, it's a great way to storytelling. Yeah, you ink them a different way. You should draw them a different way. Like it's when artists, typically just an artist, if you're drawing a male's face and a female's face, you can have a little bit more detail, and the dude's face, if you really want to, you soften it up with a female's face, pull back the detail. There's so much storytelling within drawing. It's fun.
Here's a little bit of an inking demo. I had put this on Instagram.
Oh, sweet.
Here's let me see.
Chris Stanley said, just picked up a copy. You mean you went to the store while the show was going and grabbed a copy? That's awesome, man.
Are you able to see this?
Here we go. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Okay.
All right, so here we go. I think this is that one page that I showed you guys earlier with the, someone made a comment on the tie being so
oh yeah.
So I work really fast because the faster I work, the less I'm going to think about it. And once I figure out what I'm going to do, then I'm on. I'm not this fast, by the way, but this is just
this is sped up, obviously. But have you found that the quicker you work, the more energy you keep within the piece itself?
Yes, and the more I work, the more in a groove I get, and I'm able to plow through stuff and have it look better than when I'm sitting there, and I think about it as from an athlete standpoint, because your mood, the situations in your day-to-day are going to affect your ability to put out better inks, better stuff.
Right.
So the faster I'm going, the better the stuff is going to look. This is just, I wanted to show people like some really quick backgrounds.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
And it's just the bloopiness of the line and the breakup of the line that gives the texture.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing I've been trying to actually, I picked it up from watching Adelso ink on some of the stuff you put out on Facebook or whatever. And that was the first time I'd really seen someone do that kind of bloop.
This. No.
And that was something I started to kind of do within my pencils, was to kind of do that broken line bloop, just I figured out how to kind of do it in my pencils. It was just something I added to some of my grit and some of my texture styles.
And for some reason, that feels like really good. It's so much more rewarding when you add stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, I apologize for the music. But
oh, is that on the video?
Oh yeah, I'm happy you guys can't hear that. But I was sharing this to Instagram, and I was thinking of different ways of how to, promote the book.
Yeah.
Let me see.
That was awesome.
Do you guys want to see and this is, I want to share this. This is what it looks like when I'm, actually getting down on, when I'm working on the iPad. I'm using two hands.
Yeah.
I probably should present. It's a short video. I used a sped up version of it. I'm getting
We want to see it all.
I'm getting really here with the sharing. I feel like I'm a pro now.
Yeah. See?
All right, here we go. Which one is this? Oh, okay, here we go. Are you able to see it?
Yep, there we go.
Oh, okay, so this is just a sped up.
God.
I did like a little
oh, look at that texture work.
I know.
Oh.
This is really dated, so I'm not really proud of what it looks like now, but
what?
I feel like I've evolved a lot. But I was thinking of different ways to promote the book and Brett and the work, Andrew, and stuff like that. So it's really like a 30-second video.
Oh, that's cool.
You have so much control over your hand movements.
Yeah, it's just years and years of doing that.
I was just gonna say, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I love watching seasoned inkers or seasoned artists draw, because like we mentioned with Sandra Hope, just seeing the line work and the steady hand.
One fell swoop for things like
just awesome.
You guys would like to see more? Would you like to see more stuff? I'd like to at least show the profit piece and
let's check that out. I'd say we can definitely go for another 20 or so minutes for sure.
Okay. Perfect. Let's
pull it up.
Let me see if I can successfully share Photoshop, because I showed you one end of the spectrum, the gritty stuff, and I also want to show you how I approach the more delicate, in my mind, the more the different settings and different characters.
Gotcha.
Let's see if I can do this. Okay, here we go.
Jaro said,
yes, go ahead.
He said, Sal, I'm not proud of this. One man's trash is really another man's treasure. You talking about because he didn't like that? Yeah, because you didn't like that, but we love it.
You didn't like it. You didn't like it, but we all like it.
I think I want to show a couple of pictures. So let me see if I can figure that out.
Whatever you want to do.
Let's see. So I want to show my family like really, really super fast, so you guys can get an idea. And now with social media, you can probably just look up on. So present. So this is my family.
You have a beautiful family.
Yes. We have, on the left, we have Raphael, Sal Jr., my wife Candy, and Serena, who is pretty lively and
love the personality.
Yes. Let me see some. Okay, so this is the stuff that everybody wants to see. Okay, this is going to be pretty awesome for anybody that's a hardcore fan out there. Here we go.
Right, here we go.
Yeah, so
there we go.
Oh my God.
So this is right in the timeline of Wildstorm. This is what I was talking about, like after, Scott Clark, Trevor Scott. Obviously there's Jim. He's working on some character designs, and at the very back, that's Alex Garner.
Nice.
Right next to him with all the Art Adams and Jim Lee artwork on the wall. That's Scott Campbell. And representing Backlash over to the right, when I still had hair. And Brett would have been directly to the left of Jim Lee. So if you can just imagine, what this was like for me and probably, the rest of all the guys. It's just an amazing environment. This is when I came in. This was when it was still, long before it was Wildstorm. It was Homage Studios.
Yeah.
So
that's how it's pronounced then, is Homage.
Homage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There's always a debate on how you pronounce that.
No, it's Homage, right?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's Homage.
Yeah, that's what I always thought it was. Homage.
So this was the studio when it was in Mira Mesa, California, which is probably about 30 to 35 minutes away from where the studio ended up being, which was La Jolla, which was a really, really nice, super nice building that was Wildstorm headquarters all the way up until Jim sold it to DC. So let me grab another one.
Rick Saylor said, "Love your work on Kindred Sail Fire." Yeah.
Thank you so very much. And then this is you're watching it. My daughter's complaining that I put that family picture up. So
Well, tell her it looks great. We all loved it.
Share screen. I apologize for my inability. So I can't remember right off the bat what this is, but I think this is the Killer Instinct tour with
nice.
Yeah.
that we did with Valiant and Extreme.
Yep.
So from left to right, the gentleman with the thumbs up is Joe Mendoza, who was a manager to a lot of the guys, but is married to Will's sister. So he was always in the studio and a big part of it. He was, wore many hats for Jim, and we're thankful for all of that. Then you have Jim and Brandon Choi, the co-creators of Wildcats. Directly behind them is Alex Garner,
Nice.
and with the Boston hat, that's me, and then Brett over to the right. I'm not sure how much people are interested in this, but
I love it.
Yeah, this is something that I thought it would be nice to share for everybody involved.
I miss Brandon Choi. What happened to him? He just kind of disappeared, it seemed like.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out what he's doing now. This is a signing that we did in Hawaii, and again, a special shout out to Claudia Chung for letting me know that these pages were on the private Wildstorm Facebook page.
Nice.
And from left to right, we have a fan, then Wills, Scotty Clark, rest in peace, Trevor Scott, myself. When you can already see that hair reciting. So the left was in all this struggle to race, never-ending struggle to race the right. So
the chat's all saying they're loving seeing these pictures. So
oh, great! I'm happy.
Awesome.
I'm happy to hear this. This is part of the same signing that we all did in Hawaii, and from the very, very left, you can see a little bit of Scott Williams. Then you can see, right after that.
Is that Wills?
Wills, yeah.
Yeah.
And Trevor, myself, Brett, and everybody knows who he is, Alex Sinclair of Lee and Scott Williams fame. So I think that's an Homage Studios hat, if I'm not okay. I'm not confused. We have one more picture.
Yeah, it's awesome.
this is kind of a little bit of an inside look, and I hope I remember everybody in this picture. I mean no disrespect, and I hope that I remember everyone there.
Yeah, like Chris Stanley says, it's a walk down memory lane, but your memories. Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Oh,
So
here we go.
from the left, we have Jeff Marriott. Then directly behind her, underneath him is Wendy Fouts, who was an assistant and then a colorist in her own right at DC.
Oh, nice.
She used to assist Brandon. I'm sorry, Joe Chiodo. I think both of those girls are his assistants. Then you have me right in front of the gym. Aaron Wissenfeld, Richard Bennett, and Monica Richards' wife.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, for anybody my age, yeah, grew up. Oh, lost him. He knocked himself out.
He'll be right back.
He hit the wrong button. But yeah, Chris, for anybody like our age or whatever, like, yeah, I love seeing that kind of stuff because that's just, that's the life I wanted to live when I was a kid. Like, that was it. Absolutely. Like, I wanted to be part of the studio, part of that, companies. 100%. Like, this was great. This whole show was awesome. I'm sure he'll pop in. I'm gonna send him a message here.
Bordeaux, you don't want to move back to Massachusetts ever. You don't even want to know what rent is right now.
Oh, well.
You don't want to know what rent is. Shit. Avoid it. Avoid it. Stay where you are. Don't come back to Mass.
There he is. He has returned.
You have returned.
Yes.
He's back.
I knew that at some point or another I was going to click something. And would you like to look at another piece? Maybe kind of dissect it a little bit, and then we will wrap it up. Or
yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's see if I can figure this out.
Ja Rose says, cool to put faces to these names after all these years. That is pretty cool.
Before we look at this other piece, I would like to know, what advice would you give to someone that's starting out inking?
That's a good question.
Just to really look at influences and stuff that he likes, because it's more likely for him that he's going to develop if he enjoys that type of work. You know what I mean? It'll be a totally different if you're chasing a particular look, and you're less likely to invest as much time in it as if you would looking at some of the stuff that you like, and look at the masters, the great names of the industry. Like, for someone that's younger, Scott Williams and Al Williamson, all those other great inkers of the past.
Is there a particular, like, a physical inking tip you would give anybody, or something for them to try?
Traditional or
either, whatever you would prefer to share.
Start with a brush, you know what I mean, and then work from that to quills, because the brush is more difficult to master. It'll give you greater flexibility. You look at all the amazing things that Sandra Hope can do with her, with her work. Okay, let's go. Here we go.
So challenge yourself and you will become more versatile.
Yes. Okay, here we go.
All right. Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's beautiful.
So you can see, like, the different approach right off the bat immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, we have less grit, and of course the hair. I keep talking about that.
Yep.
How important is that, So trying to make every line a little bit more delicate, more precise, still getting in there with, with your rendering, but a lot less broken up, and the blacks are a lot more solid. There's like not a lot of texture there. Yeah. So if it's like a vampire and he has a cape, I'd be more likely than break it up. But I'm using solid, more chunky lines in the work, and like everything has to be about precision. you still have the lips, and you can do your great hatching on it. And
I was just gonna say the texture on the lips or whatever. Yeah, like it's
like probably like
awesome.
a quadruple hatching in there.
Yeah, look at
gives
that.
them a look of being nice and full.
Yes, exactly. And you just like inking tips. Speaking of that, don't go against the form. So if I was hatching in a completely different direction, it wouldn't accentuate the curvature of the lips. It would be a detriment because it would feel like it's the lips were sinking in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the outlines are a lot more solid, so, and the hair is very precise, and he draws some of the most some of the coolest, more expressive hair. There's a lot.
He really does, yeah.
And then in here, in the textures and the belt, and I'm going to get looser and stuff like that. I don't have time, so I'm not going to show you the pencils, but just a great variety of lines. And
I mean, you can show the pencils. Go ahead.
Really essential.
I'm not rushing us off. I was just
you just let me know when it's time to when we need to.
Yeah, no, go ahead and show the pencils. With this piece, let's do that.
I don't know if I have it because I'll have to look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but because this is a PDF that I made.
Oh, I got you.
When you work digitally, just the way that it translates when you make a reproduction, it's just amazing. I'll send you some of them so you can take a peek at it. I was not prepared, to experience like how crisp and clean that translation was going to be. It's almost lossless to me, and it's looked just in some ways. This is kind of ridiculous, but in some ways it looks better than it does here because there's that, you're seeing it on paper. It's not a digital representation anymore. It's something that you can see in the flesh. I'll send 2 copies of for both of you guys.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
So let me just go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Her hips open, like her hip is open. You can tell here. But it's just the proportions of the body and just how the waist is accentuated. Just nice soft curves. She's beautiful.
It's perfection, honestly.
Yes, it's the way the comic book female should be drawn, like proportion wise and everything with the hips and
makes you want to go out to the gym. Got to go to the gym. Got to work out now.
Yeah.
You're not gonna draw Superman all realistic and scrawny. You're gonna make him like.
I want to see women that look like this.
Yeah. Bordeaux said his Sal tried Procreate.
Yes, I do. I ink probably, sometimes I'm a Procreate guy, sometimes I'm a Clip Studio guy, and sometimes I'm a bit of both. Most of the time I'm a bit of both. There's some particular image I'm looking for, and fortunately I didn't bring it in because I was panicking right there at the end of like right before we went in.
Right.
If I can share a PSD, and then we can see the pencils. If I'm able to share this, then now we can really get into it.
All right, let's hope, because this has been awesome. Guys in the chat, anybody might be watching this later, next Tuesday, we're going to be looking at that Tom McFarlane Spider-Man Artist Edition. So check that out. That's going to be fun. Next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, Appreciating Comic Book Art right here.
Yeah, it only took me about 3 hours, but I finally figured
There we go. Oh, nice.
Oh, God.
Love the posing.
Yeah, he's just a master. There's no way to like I said, I had a conversation with Scott, and I was happy that I was able to tell him all that. And for Brett, because when you find people like this, they should be celebrated, and if you think about it from my perspective, I get to collaborate with them. So it's going to sound silly, but they should be respected and applauded and admired for what they do, because it's a very, very small segment of the population who can aspire to this sort of thing and then achieve it. So that's the entire figure here. We're kind of going to go a little bit into how I approach it. Let's look. You want to look at the pencils real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Got Jimmy Reyes in the house. Hail, Jimmy. Good to see you.
So here's Brett, the pencils.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's great too.
He's amazing. Master.
The hair, like the stylized hair that Brett does is so interesting. The only other guy that I know that does similar hair is like Kenneth Rocafort does a similar kind of hairstyle with women. It's one of those things, like I'm really in between on how I want to draw hair. Like there's so many influences on drawing hair, and sometimes I really love how Brett does it, and other times I like how like Silvestri does it. But it's just, yeah, it's very unique, I think, right now to the way that Brett draws female hair.
It has its own life to it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, she's absolutely beautiful, but I can't stop looking at the buildings in the background. And when you go back to the when you go back to your inks, just the buildings, like wow.
I like
odd as it sounds.
You got the gargoyle there, just the texture on the ledges.
Let's see.
Yes. Yeah, like look at all of that.
There we go. Yeah, look at that.
Insane.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is just I'm gonna have that energy, and then I'm just gonna take it to in the places where I think it should be. I'm gonna take it to a different level and add in. I don't subtract stuff, but I do add, quite a bit of stuff. Like if you're gonna look at the pipes on the back, things like that.
Yeah, I like the hatching a lot. Texture hatching there on the pipes.
It's hatching in all different kinds of way from all kinds of different directions, and away from the light. It becomes lighter.
You get vertical lines, horizontal lines, every kind of line in there.
Well,
so much
like I said, it's kind of like, it sounds ridiculous, but it kind of like it speaks to me, and it's not so much that this is why I love working on this stuff, and because it's kind of like it's ridiculous, but it's showing me, it's telling me where to go with the line.
No, it looks great.
That's what he wants to do. So I kind of broke it up here with the leather. Sometimes I break it up. Sometimes I keep the blacks a lot more, more solid. So up here in the leg, I'm going to keep them pretty solid. But I was like, okay, today it's in a broken up leather kind of day. And
did you add that?
Yeah, I added a ton of lines on
the rib cage area there.
No, I mean I don't add the rendering. Occasionally I do, but more in like the bloops and the lines coming out of the black and things like
that. Jimmy Reyes said, Sal is a beast. Love his work over Dwayne and on the Authority. Yeah, we had talked about that a little bit earlier. Absolutely.
Yeah, greatest advice I was ever given, from Dwayne. Ink it like you see it, Sal. I just expected like this Jedi thing where he's going to tell me, get up in the morning, look at the rising sun, and and then he comes up with something that is like so magical. You know what I mean? We do get in the list in there, with all the ring and stuff. And again, I just feel like, okay, it's a women. I don't want to sound ridiculous or sexist or whatever, but there's a different feel to it. The hair, want to give it volume and some of the same stuff that Brett has going on in there.
I mean, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not sexist or anything. It's just the way that a woman needs to be drawn and inked that's different than a dude. I mean, you got to bring it out differently. It's not going to look right if it's not.
And
she's
then
feminine. She's hot. She's
fierce.
sexy.
She's still strong, fierce.
And then going back to his genius, the way that she's contorted and turned and it looks so right, it doesn't feel like it's out of place and it's just like, that's what I say, like people like that, they're on a different level and you should be celebrated. And I feel really fortunate. So here in the background, I just added textures to the buildings to
so cool.
Kind of, you guys, you can see all of that texture. I don't know if people want to see what.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
No, I love it.
Well, I want to see it.
I'm going to show the pencils a little bit.
Jay Ryan says, Sal, feminine beauty is okay. It's to be appreciated and respected. Absolutely. One Wicked Evo said, hard to purchase books that are not at this art level. And yeah, that's one thing. I mean, you understand, guys, you follow this channel. Like, I'm not as impressed with a lot of the art today. That's why I gravitate to the guys that I idolized in the 90s, guys like Brett that are still kicking it and on top of his game at this time and just absolutely killing. Like, this is the way comic books should look, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know, all that devotion, all those years.
See you, Jimmy.
Offer him in a grand way, you know, spending that much time, you know, honing his skills, you just become a master. You know, it's kind of inevitable. You have talent and you have the dedication. That's what happens. Let me find another one. So if you want to wrap it up after that, that'd be great. It's up to you.
Yeah, we could probably wrap it up here pretty quick. Bordeaux, so there's a very similar mecha inker / artist out there called Alex Milne? I haven't heard that name. Sure.
That name sounds familiar to me, but
Does it? Okay.
I'm trying to think.
Let me just select something else. I do want to look at another thing so we can see a little bit more of that, and then the Prophet, and then we can wrap it up.
Yes.
Because the Prophet was special to me.
Yeah, the Prophet, that was so good. I gotta take another shot for the chat for everybody that's joined us today, for Sal for being here doing this awesome ink demo.
Oh
wait,
my God!
should I take a shot? Wait, let me get my tequila.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have a.
I know you were drinking tonight. Yeah.
I'll have one shot because Sal's here.
All right.
I'm not getting crazy.
I'm honored.
Huh?
I feel honored. You guys are taking the shots.
Absolutely.
We are taking a shot. Yes.
This has been a fun show. Like, this has been the first of this kind of show that we've done where we've actually had this kind of ink demo or just art demo on. Like, this is awesome. This is great. So hail to everybody, Sal, Kayla.
Thank you so much.
Cheers to
I
y'all.
earned the shots. Yes.
Yes.
You should have like a shot-o-meter where you know, if the shot
We should.
Yes.
I like that.
Sal, you have to come back on here.
Oh, definitely.
We'll
Definitely gonna have you back on.
Ugh, I wish I had a chaser for that. I only have water next to me. Wonderful.
Okay, you guys can see this?
Oh, nice. Yes.
Let's see. I hope Brett is okay with me sharing all this stuff, but if I'm
If not, he's sleeping now, you know.
No,
If not, he's sleeping now. No.
Jess tucked him in already, so
he's already in bed.
Yeah. This one doesn't have the splatter. What? Sal, what have you done? Okay. So we're not even going to look at Brett's pencils. But here again, I'm just going to treat everything different. And this one, I elected not to break up the blacks, you know, on the leather. And you can just see like the treatment overall is different because the delicate, you know, subject.
Yeah.
But yet she's still strong and fierce, like you guys were saying.
She's strong and fierce, and she's soft and sexy at the same time. She looks badass.
Yes, nothing wrong with that. So there we go. Just a quick look at that. It has some splatter on it. Let me see if I can put it on.
I love how the stomach is rendered and not overly dumb, but still shows a little bit of the abs and just the flat stomach.
This is one of the ones where I tell you that I create another one, and then there's this. You'll probably will see it sometime in print or in advertising, but all of the background is splattered and all around.
Okay.
Or the gunshots are.
Kind of gives me like a Frazetta stomach feel.
Yes, I want to give a shout out to Andrew and show some of his colors before we.
Yeah, Andrew's.
Yeah.
Feel free to kick me out and rush me because I will go on and on forever. But there's something else I wanted to.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
You guys can see it?
Yeah,
It's so cool.
That's what's up.
So this is the cover, the wraparound cover from the New York convention.
That
for
face
the
is
Lost Serpent.
wicked.
Yeah, I was just going crazy with this. I just used what I call my big giant brush.
Mm-hmm.
and I just went to work here on the
I love it.
Look at that.
just and then I think like when I see Brett's stuff, I think, okay, that's pure energy mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to accentuate that, and it's so freaking electric and magnetic to me. You know, it sounds like
Oh,
ridiculous,
look at that.
but you know, that's how I see it.
I mean, I
So
love all the.
exciting.
Yeah, I would say I love all the different textures and line work you've done to bring that out. Yeah, I agree with Hail the Lore says that is sick. 100%.
And then over here is, you know, different type of characters, so I'm gonna soften everything up, and you know, they're all existing under the same ecosystem, which is in this case is the page, but you know, they're like from different regions and different, you know, they deserve a different treatment.
Look at the trench coat.
Bretsky the Great says,
Ooh.
awesome stream. Love this. We want more. We'll definitely have Sal back on and definitely explore more of this stuff because this has been great.
Maybe you can get Sal on with Brett one night.
Oh, that'd be cool to get both you guys on at the same time. That's a great idea.
You're welcome.
So
I'm going to take credit.
Kayla with all the great ideas.
Amazing ideas on Twitter and now here on the show. So look at the approach here on the character here, the blacks, the line, it's a lot more subdued. And then the big face in the foreground. This is special to me because in this page we have Tyler and Brett and Alejandro. Did a long run on stuff with Tyler, and then and then a Brett of always the
ooh, the Kopeshes look so cool with that background.
Yeah, I think that I went a little bit too thick on the outlines there, but let's just look at the Prophet piece.
Oh yeah, Prophet.
And this is something that as soon as I try not to look at Brett's Patreon anymore because
you want to do everything.
I want to buy everything he does, especially when he does like he does a great Phoenix.
Oh, trust me, if I had more money, I'd be knee deep in Brett Booth art. Yeah,
that's sick.
When this was posted, when this was posted on Facebook or wherever it was posted, when I first saw this, I was just like, holy shit. Like this was what I love about this, and what's weird, maybe it's not weird, but just my eye is drawn to his left shoulder pad, the text, the cross hatching and everything you did texture wise on that shoulder pad is great. Like that's the kind of stuff that really gets like I get drawn to that, and I see that I'm like, man, look at that line work right off the bat. That's beautiful.
It's kind of funny because I saw this piece when Brett put it on the Patreon page, and I just thought at some point I know I'm going to end up inking this because it was calling to me.
Yeah.
And I created this brush specifically, 2 brushes specifically with this in mind. The one on the right shoulder and the one on the left shoulder. Someone commissioned the piece, but then they changed their mind halfway through it, and so halfway through I was like, okay, well, I'll think about it tomorrow. I'll let you know. And I was like, no, I was halfway through it, so I ended up finishing it, and it's probably every page that I ink of Brett's is fun, but this was just pure energy, electricity. I feel like when I look at it, I'm gonna get shocked. It's just pure energy, and I wanted to show that, as opposed to when he draws the delicate hair and characters, I want to do the opposite here, and I want to go in a completely different direction.
Oh, look, I love everything about this piece. I mean, it's gritty, it's dark, it's got energy to it. And this was one of the Image 30th anniversary cover homages that he did, I believe.
Yes.
I love. I mean, the hair. Look at the hair. Like that's just straight up like manga feel. Hairstyle.
And then sometimes I like breaking up the blacks, like underneath the nose and stuff.
I like that. Yeah, it adds something.
I go by feel, and then it can go overboard, like here in his brow, in between the eyes. But when you pull back from it, it still looks good, So I kind of left it. I got it a little loose with the sword, but like if I was using a brush in real life, but it's probably like some of the I had so much fun with this piece that I'm really thankful that he's out producing this work, and I feel like beyond elated and fortunate to be a part of of his world and the world that he's creating for all of them. My dream would be for him to unleash all of the stuff that is in the confines of his mind for all of us to enjoy, and be able to get enough funding or find a way to get
he would.
Yeah, and he will. I mean,
He would.
There's no
we've told him that when he's been on the show. I mean, like the last time he was on with me, I told him, I was like, dude, do the crowdfunding. And I think I talked to him for another 30 minutes after we got done being live, and we just kind of talked some crowdfunding stuff. And I was just like, the way to go right now is crowdfunding when you're for independent stuff. Like, it's just, I think you can be more profitable. You don't have to share the money really with anybody except for the platform, all this kind of stuff. And I think people would come out for his stuff, like, and he's got great ideas when you listen to him talk about all of the different IPs or stuff that he would like to do. I mean, I think it's right down everybody's alley, what people are missing in comics,
Yeah. I'm waiting for him to drop a dinosaur book, because
Well,
that
that
will
too.
sell.
That too.
That will, can I tell you, dinosaurs is a hot seller. There's not enough of it. There isn't.
Can you guys see this?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Looking at it.
So this is the cover, I think, to the next issue or the next installment.
Oh, really?
We're going to be in.
Nice.
So is that 5?
Exclusive.
It'll be the cover to 5, I'm thinking.
You know what? Don't quote me on it, but it's some sort of cover that is coming somewhere along the way. I think
it's got to be 5, because I
it has
think he's
to be
doing
5.
every other
skipping an issue.
issue. Yeah. Episode.
Because I know 3 just came out this past week. So part 2 was in that, and then it says it will return in part 5. So that's what I'm going to assume.
Yep.
Yes, probably. Let's just.
Man.
Oh, this is what I was looking for, but it's not a PSD. No.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, there's so much.
I don't even know my eyes. I don't know where to look. I'm so happy right now. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh man.
Rotate this, but I don't know how to rotate in Photoshop because I never used Photoshop.
Oh my god.
But
that's awesome though.
Yeah, this is kind of somewhere where I put everything, that I talk about into practice, like the loose and the grittiness of the stuff and the different characters and then the backgrounds. Put the thumbprint in there, digital thumbprint. So I saw everybody doing that, and then this is what I call it's just pure,
nice.
Just
look at that.
It's just pure adrenaline.
That kind of reminds me that face and just texture and everything. That kind of reminds me of Little Mickey, just very
exactly that.
Yeah.
Just kind of channeling that sort of thing, and then I was like, I never was fortunate or unfortunate enough to settle into one particular, not genre, but style of inking for whatever reason. I just had this flexibility. So sometimes it's, it's a detriment, and sometimes it's really, something that I enjoy. So you go from that extreme here. If you see her face, the delicacy, not delicacy, but the delicate aspect or nature of her hair and the eyelashes, and let me zoom in a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
I'm a big eye person, and then there's like a lighting within the eye too.
Yeah, and so from there to that, I really love being able to pull that, try to pull that off. And
that's great. I love that. Like that's so sick.
Just a mess in there.
Oh yeah, but it's like it comes out so awesome, and like that's
that is.
Oh yeah, that's from the first issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
The double pager.
So I love his work and what he does, and this is before I started talking about myself for like 45 minutes and stuff like that. This is what I wanted the show to be about, like a celebration of art and of his work, because most people will not be able to see this, other than in the printed form. So I wanted to share this, and kind of what moves me to work with, and with him.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, if I'd been somebody else, I've been asked many times to do stuff, but I probably wouldn't, be receptive to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely something special about the way that you two work together. So
Yeah,
I'm lost for words right now, just because I just read, I read this. So seeing it looking like this, it's just,
Yeah, seeing it blown up like this and really getting into the detail is a
yeah.
different experience than
I hope
just
he
seeing
does
it
a
in
whole
the
black
book.
and white book of this. I would love just line art like this.
yeah. Some of the cooler stuff was, when I would look at the ash cans at the studio, you would just gobble them up and look at your stuff, and because it's, for me, for the inker, is the best representation of your work. You can see it in print without the colors, and that I thought was always very cool. So I love the way he does hair. It's just like,
Yeah, yeah.
something to it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't look at a lot of current comic book work, so I don't really see like anybody else that has this kind of volume, and of
No,
course the hair would never really in reality wouldn't do that. But then we don't
You'd
have
be
to.
surprised.
right.
Yeah.
It's comic books. We don't have to.
Surprised.
We don't have to worry about reality here. It's just whatever looks cool.
But it's beautiful, and it's just amazing, and it flows, and it feels so right. You know what I mean? You never
Yeah.
think, yeah.
That's why, like I'll get in arguments. Well, I don't know if they're arguments with people sometimes about comic book art when it comes to like realism and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's comics, man. It's fantasy. It doesn't have to be real. Like that hair doesn't have to make sense. Does it look cool? Yes. Does it flow well? Does it create energy? Is it appealing to look at? Like that's all that really matters,
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I don't want to look at flat, boring hair.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Or no hair.
You want to see the
Oh,
movement
no hair.
and everything. No hair can be fine. You just add some shine on the top and everything. You can make it interesting.
I can make it really interesting then.
I know you feel.
So here in the storytelling part of it, I'm going to break up that face more than I'm going to break this one up here, because there's a sense of wonder here, or surprise, and then there's the beauty of this panel, the thoughtfulness, and you can, and this is why he's so great with the expression and the storytelling. You can just see she's deep in thought, and well, at least this is how I see it. She's contemplating something, and then here is just pure representation of like the mood that she's in. And so I'm gonna even break up the black so it looks a little bit more messy, and break up the face and make it really like fierce and all of that. Let me look at let's just take a look at what the finished product looks like with
the colors.
The color,
the colors. Because at the end of the day, this is what and he does an amazing job. I try to pick stuff that we will have seen. Oh, I'll share this page right here before if you guys don't mind, this image here, the black and white.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Share it all.
Yeah, share what you want to share.
I'm so bad. I'm like, just
I think
bad influence.
It's not showing up right away, right? Because it's a TIFF.
I haven't seen it yet. You might have to stop sharing and reshare, because I haven't seen anything new.
Go back and yeah, let me see.
I'm moving a cat.
I figured it was something. Larad said, I'm excited for this. Yeah, and so that's the thing. I keep talking about the Lost Serpent Prince and how I'm so excited about it. I first saw Lost Serpent Prince a few years ago on Brett's Patreon. He had like 3 or 4 pages up there from the original one that he had started. And now that he's actually working on it, oh yeah.
Yeah,
that ass.
I have to drop it into Photoshop. I don't.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited for this project to get out of Artist Elite and get full issues. Let's roll. Let's go. Oh man, look at that helmet. I love the line work on the helmet. Fuck, it's great.
And I actually I did a page that I'm going to redo because I took the wrong approach with it. I wasn't thinking, and I tried to go in a different direction. And if you look at this, it's a completely different approach than I was doing, and with the more gritty stuff. This is different, and sometimes you can make mistakes like that. When you're trying to go, okay, want to go this. I do not want to go gritty here at all. I want to go bloopy. I want to go, graceful, sexy. I guess if that's the wrong term. So
no, it is the right term.
I think
it's
attractive
the right term.
and beautiful and composed, and that's the kind of term that I'm looking for here.
Yeah.
So again, all the hatching that I broke up the leather here and I made it more angular. And then here's just all different kinds of ways or different ways of coming out of the blacks and representing
I love that.
And I think that's what makes it better. People have told me that my inks don't look digital, and I think
they don't.
They don't.
It has to do with that because I'm trying to approach things in the same way that I would as if I was inking traditionally.
Yeah.
She's a great bum.
Oh yeah.
I like
very well drawn.
All of that stuff on the back accentuates the curves.
Yeah.
I love how you both have faded the leg into the fog there.
Mm-hmm.
Just
greatly done there.
Thing in terms of light, and that's if I was inking this traditionally, that's where I would use a brush because it would give me that flexibility to get that kind of line. So even though we're doing that's basically stuff like what's his name would do. I think we talked to him about it briefly yesterday. Klaus Jansen with the stuff that he does with the brush. Now like this kind of stuff right here that I would use a brush for this particular stuff here. So what you would do, and you do it in the same way digitally, you exert more pressure, then you alleviate or diminish the pressure, and then you use pressure again, and that's going to give you that's what gives you thin to thick. If you have less pressure to greater pressure, or thick to thin if you have greater pressure to lesser pressure. And if you do this, you're going to have a line that is going to get chunky and big at the end.
That's what I love about ink lines, and just exactly how you just explained that, just how you can get that when you're inking, whether it's a brush. I mean, obviously with a brush. I know some guys do that with a nail. So some guys can do that, impersonate that line with pens too. Just they do it in a different way, but just the process of the thick to thin, or the thick to thin to thick, or whatever, is just, that's what I love about inking.
Yeah, because it's a look at the end of the day, and you can achieve it. If I can achieve something, digitally, you can achieve it in many, many, many ways. I see stuff online all the time, and people post their stuff on Instagram, and I go, oh, well, that's pretty cool. I wonder how they did it. And then they post something else, that is where you see, you're able to see what tools they use. And I go, okay, that's really nice. He used, a pen to do that, or a brush work, or pen to simulate or achieve the effect that a brush would, and vice versa.
Yeah. That's just beautiful work. I appreciate. I mean,
gorgeous. This has been amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing this tonight. All this stuff is great. I really enjoyed the inking demo. I told you this the other day. Like I'm so art nerdy that I could watch the inking demo in real time and be completely entertained. Without being sped up.
I did have an unsped one, but I didn't want to go over too much. And this is what I wanted to do. And if you're gracious enough to have me again, we will, go in greater depth on the process, and, do an actual, live inking demo if we can figure out how that could happen.
Yeah,
that would be
that'd
so
be great.
awesome if you and then you could break down every bit of your process.
Oh, I have to
I would
share
love
this
that.
what I saw it. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, go for. Oh yeah. I'm glad
Oh
you did.
wow.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
you know, like as I've stated before, he's one of the most amazing inkers that ever lived. And
Hmm.
so rather than trying to do and match, you know, what Bat did, because it's not something that I can achieve, I just kind of took my own, you know, my own take on it, and you know,
That's
different.
what I was gonna ask. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
So
he's one of my, and like if I had a, you know, the Mount Rushmore of inkers, you would have Scott William prominent, and then you know it would be Bat, and then from there, you know, I have to pick somebody else, maybe Klaus Janson, but you know, they're really, it's, you know, it's, I have a lot of admiration for his work.
Yeah.
He's a super nice guy too. Um, he
100%.
also, you know, was gracious enough to offer some advice, and you know, I asked him about how he goes about the process of doing what he does, and you know, he was telling me that he uses shapes, you know, to figure out how he plots the blacks and stuff like that. So I really think about that all the time.
Yeah, this came out so good.
This is another like a pure energy type thing that I wanted to separate the darkness from what you guys are going to see at the bottom of the panel, because I wanted it to have it still be loose and edgy and have that, or what I see or what I can try to emulate as far as like the Top Cow style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
My own take on it, of course, because those guys are two amazing inkers, titans of the industry.
Yeah.
I mean a lot to me. And so, like, as you go back, you're going to start seeing like it's starting to get that's pretty loose, you know, and edgy here in his hair and stuff like that. But as we get down, I'm just going to kind of go crazy with texture and just grit.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Amazing.
Yeah. This is so good.
That's like
Yeah. So just texture and grit, and you know, I just wanted to have a slimy look, something that would evoke fear and, you know, would stop you on your tracks. And I just got to think about this sort of thing. Otherwise, you're just kind of like tracing lines, like the movie said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I love texture. I love grit. Like it adds so much to like the kind of feel that's like in this cover or this kind of comic, you know. It's just, yeah. Oh,
And
it's so
so,
good.
like, if we look at the particular areas here, you guys can see my cursor or not?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yes.
So in this area here, I'm just gonna try to imitate what I would get out of a nib, you know, like
Okay.
or a thicker nib. This would be more like a gelot, like a big chunky nib. And then here, this I would use a brush to do all this sort of stuff here. And then here I just, you know, made it simpler on the back, but just wanted to keep that. I can't emulate. I don't have the same level of inking that Bat does, but you know, I try to take my own twist of it. So rather than even look at what he did, because I didn't want to be influenced, you know, by it.
Right.
I have so much respect for what he's done, you know, and what he represents to me. So I just kind of went with my own take on it. I haven't even looked at what this stuff looks like, because I know I will be, you know, maybe upset.
What? Well, it came out fantastic. I mean, obviously Brett did a great job drawing it. You know, I mean, obviously originally done by Silvestri and Bat. It's an iconic cover. And you guys did a fantastic job of recreating it in this. It's just, I remember when he posted the pencils, I was just like, holy shit, like that's just, it's great, you know. And I love this, one of my favorite covers of all time, and he did a great job with it. And
It's amazing. And Mark Silvestri is an amazing artist.
Yeah,
like, he's my second favorite artist. Here is just like, this is kind of like, I keep thinking it's Back to the Future for me. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but you know that
you're allowed to say whatever you want to say on this
that
channel.
character looks familiar to me. you know.
Yeah.
And this is another great page that kind of illustrates everything, and it's just this is probably all around grit. It's a little bit more controlled,
Mm-hmm.
but I love getting in there in the backgrounds.
Mm.
Um, you know,
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, I love the texture in the backgrounds.
more like a broken up, like loose brush, and then the nib. Um, and then this will probably be, look at for young inkers, look at where people are accentuating the line weight, where you're emphasizing weight, and give
Yes.
I think that's very important.
give him the form. Obviously, it's like more angular look. Like I said, I'm heavily influenced by those guys, and the time I spent, or the stuff that I was able to do at Top Cow, just a little bit or more, just really loose, really, going, but he put down, but maybe sometimes, breaking it up more to show grit, and to add to the storytelling.
Yeah.
Let's just share the colors now, and I think we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Absolutely.
yeah, this has been amazing. This has been an amazing just tutorial. I don't know if you want to call it a tutorial, but man, this has just been great seeing the process, seeing the close up of the inks.
You guys want to see like a Marat's brigade cover that I inked for him?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Let's see. I hope he doesn't mind, but I was just throwing stuff in here.
Well, this was, I mean, they posted this on Facebook, didn't
Yeah.
they? Like I feel like I've seen this on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of texture and grit on it.
Yep.
Let me go to the colors here.
Again, I love just how, everyone talks about people not drawing feet, but the cool thing to me is the foot disappearing into the smoke and having it just, so perfectly with the line work there and the cross hatching and stuff that just kind of disappears that into the smoke with the light sources. Like, to me, that's comic books. That's comic book art.
Yeah, here's the page we just looked at.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Just an amazing job from Andrew on the colors.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
love Andrew's work.
He's a great colorist
Yeah.
because he doesn't lose any of the detail.
All of that is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to color it a little bit here and there, and just that level of craftsmanship, the background is just amazing. Let's kind of get in there so we can see the color.
Oh, one Wicked Evo, so you just picked up that cover that we were showing. Nice.
I love he cuts
well
in.
done.
I don't know how he
So
does
good.
this from a technical standpoint, but I love how there's different gradients, and I like the fact that they're not. I like the fact that the transition is solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then this is just amazing right here at the bottom.
Yeah, I got the smoke effect, just breaking stuff up there. Yeah,
Just using lighter shades of the same color family. It works really well, and then the whites in there.
Yeah, I've always liked Andrew's work. We got a chance to talk to him, I want to say 2 years ago. He came on the other show we do, Art and Stuff, and he was fun to talk to.
Yeah, here's he did a really good job of setting the mood here. Hold on.
Absolutely.
I love how he made the crimson really stand out in this. It really pops.
Yeah, can you guys see this? This is another page we looked at a little bit ago,
right? Bordeaux said, and now I need a cigarette.
Right after the shot.
Yeah. And one Wicked Evo said, I need a cigarette, but I don't even smoke. Yeah.
There we are. I'll just show you one last image, and then I just want to how grateful I am for this opportunity.
Yeah. Jeez.
I wanted to to show a lot of the artwork, because again, I don't know if I don't know if people have an opportunity to see this much, and the pencils, the ink, pretty much the entire process. Oops, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's great seeing the process because I think not enough people get to see the pencils to inks to colors.
It's going to inspire a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the wraparound cover that we were looking at around earlier, and I look at this every day when I get to work on my iPad. I made it my home screen because I love it so much. Just what it represents to me, and just briefly go into the detail. I love that, the vibrant colors, and it takes me back to to those early years at Wildstorm with and all those even from Top Cow, the Steve Furcow colors that are so amazing. The and the fullness of the color. I know there's different styles, but this is what appeals to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was the thing when Brett did Bloodshot with Andrew. I remember hitting up Andrew and Brett and saying like that book reminded me the most of like an Image Feel book that I had seen in forever. I think Adelsa did that as well. Just the way they did everything, and that's what appeals to me. Like you just said, the Fur Cow, stuff. Just going back, the Chiodo stuff, going back to the '90s. Just that's the stuff that appeals to me, and Andrew's definitely got that in his work.
Yeah, he just did an amazing job here on the face here. Well,
jeez.
There we go. Let's close that up.
So everybody's going to be going out and getting Artist Elite.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Chris Stanley said, really cool, man. I'm going to start following your work, Sal. So you definitely exposing people to a lot of cool stuff. Lost Serpent Prince, everybody. Artist Elite right now. If you want to go out and get every single book, definitely do that. If you do it like I do, I'm just pretty much grabbing the Lost Serpent Prince storylines, which is 1, 3, and 5 so far that I know of. And then hopefully we get full books of that in the future.
5 won't be out for a while. 3 just came out.
That's right. 3 just came out. So yeah, it's going to be a second. Yeah. I just got 3 not too long ago.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, Kayla. You were wonderful. Thank you for the great questions and the humor.
She did too.
Yeah,
knocked it out of the park.
Thank you.
Which, by the way, Kayla has a show.
So much.
And Kayla has a show where she does this. So if you think she does a good job of interviewing, she does, because that's what she does.
Oh, you have your own show?
Guys, I do. I have a show on the Death Curse channel. So I interview there. So if you would like to come on sometime,
we'll do anytime. Thank you so much, Joe, for making this it's so easy the way you kind of conduct the whole interview, or whatever you want to call this that we did. But
thank you, man.
I was really apprehensive about it, especially after having 10,000 panic attacks when I couldn't figure it out.
You're so genuine and just you're awesome. You truly show who you are. So
all right, well, before we lost Sal again.
Sal.
But before we'll wait for it until he pops back up here.
Say bye.
I have that Primer Red book, limited to 3,000, Fan Expo exclusive. So I have to give a shout out to Ash and Jackal, who sent me the Primer Red. I really appreciate that.
Oh, Ashen.
Yeah, awesome dude. Rick Saylor said, great show, Sal. Yeah, this was fun. This was good. He'll be back. But this was good. I mean, if you guys, I don't know how many of this style show will actually be able to do it. It just depends on the guests that come on, but Sal said that he'd be willing to come on and do an inking demo. So it worked out great. We'll definitely have him back on again. I would love to do something similar to this. I think what Kayla brought up about trying to get Sal and Brett on, I think is a definite. We're going to work on that.
Right, guys? It should happen. Right?
Yeah, we're definitely going to work on that and get that done. I think that would be cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I mean, I feel like we've been going for longer than 3 hours. I think it's just because I feel like we covered so much. Like there was so much in this stream.
Some of the questions I had planned to ask him, he just said, he read my mind. I was like, oh, I can just enjoy all of this.
No, yeah, you did a great job. Which before we went live and you're like telling me like the kind of questions you had, I was like, well, shit. Like, you know, like, I had a few, which
he was
is
answering them.
yeah, and I was just like, you take over tonight. You ask the questions, I'll deal with the chat. I think that works really good.
Sal's
there
back.
He's back. I think.
I'm
It's all right.
I ran out of batteries. This is so
Well, we wanted to read to you all the great things people are saying before you get out of there. But basically, you know, this has been an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone loves you. Everyone in the chat loves you. So
yeah, this was great.
But this is so me, you know. Like I told you, I'm like this Forrest Gump character. Let's see. Oh my God, how do I even start the mic? What happened here?
No, your mic is on.
Yeah, your mic's on. We can hear you.
You're live. You just don't have a picture. But there you are.
Oh, he's back. There he is.
My daughter's making fun of me. My wife is making fun of me. But that is so me. Like I remember, you know, I can go on and on about this, but this is something that Jim Lee actually told me once, and I use it all the time. I tell my kids all the time. He said to me, "Sal, everything happens to you." So now you know, from the really awkward beginning to the tragic ending of me losing the. But thanks again. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate it. This is like a magical 2.5 hours, whatever, however long it for me. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Kayla. I had an
absolutely.
Time.
Well,
we'll definitely have you on it. We'll definitely have you on again. Guys, everybody go follow Sal on Twitter, on Facebook. You can find him. Go check out Lost Serpent Prince, the Artist Elite going on right now. And this was great. We'll definitely do it again. Everybody had a fantastic time. Thank you so much for sticking with us for the 3 hours. Great
Everyone
show.
loves you right now, Sal.
Yeah, they love the photos. They love the art. Yeah, this was great. This was
you have won the hearts of everybody here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's with the comedy of errors.
So next Tuesday, guys, we'll be back at 10 o'clock. We're going to look at the Spider-Man, the Todd McFarlane Artist Edition of Spider-Man, which is really cool. And that's all I really got to say. Go back Reaper Destroyer if you get a chance. If you like the art you saw today, you like the feel of it, you're going to love Reaper Destroyer because it's got that 90s feel, the 90s dark hero, top cow, Wildstorm kind of feel that we're all missing, that we're all trying to, or that I'm trying to bring back with my characters for sure. Kayla, anything you want to plug before you get out of here?
I'll be here next Tuesday. I'll be at the comic shop in Salem. So if you are in Massachusetts for Halloween time, come to the shop, come chat with me. You can come buy Artist Elite for me. Joe sent me some promo stuff for his book that I'm going to be handing out all weekend and pumping that out there because Salem's huge with tourists. And I have an interview next week with Jason from Unhinged. So he's going to be on Kayla Cuts Deep. So I return after my long break.
Your hiatus.
My hiatus. My couple week hiatus. So next Thursday he will be on at 9:30. So
nice. Everybody tune in for that. Before we get out of here, Rad said, "Great stream, Sal. Great content. Kayla, you were great too, and you look absolutely gorgeous today." Sal, thank you.
Apparently, all I need
thank you. Thank you most of all for sharing so much. Yeah.
Too much or sharing so much.
Yeah, well, sharing. Yeah, they could have. So yeah, I think everybody could have kept going here for sure.
We could have kept going.
Thanks for the stream. See you guys next. Yeah, we'll see you all next week. All right, Sal, stick around after I end the stream, and then we'll wrap up before you take off. But to the chat, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you all next week. Have a fantastic week. And as always, picture me naked. Talk to you later. Peace.